definitely higher this time around because you are watching the Day 2 of Origin Series. We'll be your casters. I'm Yuko and alongside me is Riku.
Yeah, you mentioned the stakes are high. More teams will drop over to the lower bracket this time around. And of course, they are aiming for that first place to get more points and as well as, share of the prize pool.
True. And can I just say that our first series definitely spicy. We are gonna start the day off with the grand finals for our Group A. And of course, one of the things that I'm actually thinking about is what new champions will we see? What kind of new rotations? What new plans will we see this time around?
Yeah, that's true. We are coming in from a 2.3 C and B patch for the July Origin monthly final. So this is going to be extremely exciting as we've seen from yesterday. A couple of new picks, maybe, Leona being a little bit more prominent now in comparison to the past because of her buffs, especially on her MR and as well as her armor. So her survivability definitely skyrocketed and will match some of the tanky support champions on the board, which are, very popular as well, like the Rakan and the Braum.
Indeed. But before we jump into the July part of the Origin series, let's take a step back because we have a video for you about the Origin series back in June.
I think the June finals was a very good results for us. We didn't expect to perform at this level.
We are actually expecting a much lower place from the June's final. Our team was maybe not the best mechanically, but our communication was on point and we won a lot of games because of this.
To be honest, we didn't really expect to get third place in the June finals because we were kind of changing our roster. We get more focus on our goal because of the June finals. We didn't expect that and it was amazing.
I think realistically, also a beautiful outcome for Real Betis.
We honestly did not feel like we would even make it that far. After we made it that far, it really set us through the roof. We could have went for first place, by the way, but luck wasn't on our side. And third place isn't really bad, it's really good. We are happy that we got third place.
Here's the dive, here's the combo, over the top. Drake will go to cut.
I think we were just surprised of some of the picks that were being picked and we didn't have any answers to it and we fell to teams that we believe we should have beaten.
The whole team, the communication, there were nothing that went good for us. We were just literally terrible. So this time we are prepared and we should not underestimate any other team. We will definitely see Game Lord in the final, probably against Stripe.
The first finals, in June finals, we didn't even think we're gonna have good results like this. And now I think we have a huge difference. The first month, now it's the second month, and we're playing really perfect. And I really trust my team also in this July finals. All I can say that we're gonna finish first place in this tournament.
Lots of mixed emotions looking back in that video. All the more making us hype for this July series. How about you, Riku? What were the thoughts going through your mind while watching that video?
Yeah, I think the common theme from all the teams was okay, we did not expect to get, this far in the tournament. And I feel like that will really propel the momentum, the morale coming into the July Origin finals. So I think it's really good. A lot of the teams are very hungry to reach higher from their placements last month.
And speaking of hunger, highlights teams, we actually have highlights for you in day number 1.
Yeah, day number 1 was extremely interesting. There is a lot of, reliant on either 5v5s mid-game, towards the mid-game, or early game aggression with a Twisted Fate. Also, something to note is that, Olaf has been extremely popular as well, being paired with maybe the Nami if the Seraphine isn't available, maybe the Lulu isn't available and doesn't fit the composition, and it's a very hit or miss situation.
True, and on top of that, we have been seeing a lot of these, Malphites as well as that very hard carry ADCs. But looking back at this highlight, that Diana pick, very, very tanky and such a huge threat in the late game. So maybe our teams, they're leaning more onto the late game compositions with the full-on 5v5 teams. But yeah, I'm actually looking forward to seeing more of these Akali pick. Maybe even Ari. We seldom get to see her in day number 1, but there were a few picks here and there.
Yeah, that's the thing. Akali, once given the opportunity when there are no threats like the Galio, like the Rakan, like the Braum, I feel like Akali can ultimately shine in some of these matchups. And again, there is an extreme importance to the early game when we look at top lane tower dives, especially when we see a Pantheon. I think we've seen Pantheon twice last night.
Yes. We did. And those ultimates just has a lot of map presence. Also, that Seraphine pick a bit popular as well. Problem is, can be easily countered with the Braum Unbreakable, but our teams are still making it work. Also, we noticed that there's a huge priority onto the Dragon, and it's just gonna depend on who gets to snowball first. You know who gets to control which first.
Yeah, there is an extreme importance, especially when it's, the Infernal Drake on the line as the first dragon as well. So we're going to be expecting 5v5 fights when that first dragon comes up in maybe tonight.
That is true. And you know what? Sometimes I would just look at the map and say, hey, when are they going to go with their rotations, the pickouts? But no, some teams are actually playing this out very, very smoothly. But we did show you the highlights for day number 1. Now, we are going to be hearing the thoughts of our players themselves looking back in the Origin Series day number 1.
Day 1 taught us a lot, not gonna lie. We enjoyed the match we had against Sunlight. It was a really fun match. I honestly think they were the better team in that scenario.
Whoa, okay! He flashed in and took down the jump.
This time, we are still in the competition. We did not leave. We just lost our upper bracket slot. We leave day 1 confident as well. We still have one goal in mind. We are still going for first place.
We at Game Lord feel pretty good. Then when we played against Looking for Orc, it was super good, but we prepared for Tribe for day 2. Yeah, I think the whole team right now is feeling confident on the meta read and just in each other that we will do great this time.
We are feeling very good. We lost 2-1 versus Singularity. We went to the loser bracket. Our second match was versus Isuba. We felt very comfortable in the games. We won both of them. And in the third match, we felt good again. And we won 2-0 versus good players.
Very low. It is a 1-for-1 trade so far. Still very much in Flash's favour. Yeah, trying to go for the ground entrance once again. We'll be able to jump away, but it's an extra 2 kills picked up. The double whammy, actually, for Hanuari.
Everywhere we get domination in first game. So we go Lucian, but it was a bit risky because we don't know how to make it.
Hexagon's made him onto the support, actually not really what he want to do, and they're going to try and collapse his back lane, actually got straight up access onto Feeney's going to be just pushed upon instantly, and that's been already out the fight. You're losing most of the damage for Pro.
We have no pressure of the loser bracket because I know we're going to win this every match. They have no chance to win us because my players, my team has amazing potential and amazing mechanics. We're gonna win this tournament, I believe.
The confidence, the feedback, and the smiles from our players. And it's something we've been talking time and time again. If you're confident, the morale is definitely up there, right?
Exactly. It does help out in these scenarios when it's a double elimination round. Then you can have that learning process on the board, especially you're carrying over experience from the June Origin, monthly finals, and then bring it over here in the current stage of our Origin series.
So we talked about their thoughts in day number 1. We also saw the highlights. Now let's take a look at the updated brackets. We're gonna start off with, of course, Group A. This is the upper bracket. We'll be shoutcasting, of course, a series for this. And if you're seeing the team that you're rooting for, do not forget to put that in the live stream.
Yeah, absolutely. Showing your support. Of course, it is, you don't see Cream Real Betis over there. I believe they were dropped yesterday in the lower bracket. But of course, no surprise to see Game Lord and as well as Team Kesso and as well as Tribe. Now, no team, no talent on the bracket, on the upper bracket as we see right now, as they've placed pretty high back in the June Origin monthly finals.
That is true. So we actually are gonna look at the lower bracket. So Team Queso already here. We have Q-Lash and For the Win as well. Team Future. I really like how creative our teams are with their team names.
I know they're very cool, very interesting. But one thing to note, of course, Clash and Cream Barrel Betis, they are in the lower bracket. So this is the time where they have to pull up all their trump cards because they do not want to, especially they came from third and fourth respectively. So they do want to make sure if they can land the same or even higher from last month's performance.
True. That has been Group A. Ladies and gentlemen, now we will be taking a quick look at Group B. Upper bracket, Group B. So you have Unicorns of Love, Digital Athletics, you also have Natus Vincere, and you also have I'm so sorry if I'm butchering the names. Football List. Yes, I'm trying.
Yes, you are. But I think on paper, this is, the expected result, I suppose, so far when we look back in the last month for Group B. Unicorns of Love did land first place last time. They were leading. For Natus Vincere, though, I believe they were 11th place in the standings last month. So this is, a huge jump for them looking at their current performance in the current bracket.
And I guess these teams are just going to show us a lot of intense best of threes for the lower bracket Group B. Here are the teams. You have Les Lions, Fast Play Wildcats, Sangal Esports, and BK Rog Esports.
Yeah, curious to see how the double of the lower bracket is going to go. It's going to be pretty intense.
Yep, and this is going to be the upper bracket for our Group C. We'll be shoutcasting this fight for series number 1, Cut Esports versus Sunlight team. So Sunlight really showing up yesterday as well as Cut Esports. So, I'm actually looking forward to seeing the possible mix and matches that they're going to show us. Some high level plays I'm sure our viewers will enjoy.
I know. I think, Cut Esports and Sunlight, I think they're one of the most, one of the engaging narratives we're seeing in the Origin series, considering the fact that they've gone, 2-2 on record from last month. So their upcoming match in, later today, actually, our current, our match that's going to happen soon is possibly the tiebreaker.
The tiebreaker indeed. For now, the lower bracket in Group C, Off Meta and GK Esports will be showing that later on towards the day. So we have 3 series for you in day number 2. So be sure to watch from start to finish.
I know. I even saw a little glimpse of Off Meta in the lower bracket as Sunlight sent them down over there. So I'm sure they're craving for revenge. So we're gonna keep an eye on that potential matchup as well.
Indeed. So, all right, we'll be showing you the schedule for this day. Cut Esports versus Sunlight for series number 1, and we have some secrets here and there. We're not gonna reveal the teams just yet, so be sure to tune in the live stream.
I know, the first matchup tonight is going to be very exciting. We did mention that this is a rematch. They've already encountered twice last month. It ended with a 2-2 score. So, as we've mentioned, this could be a very, very exciting tiebreaker for the upper bracket finals.
I will address the elephant in the room. I'm gonna ask you the scary question. Who do you think will win in this series?
Oh, okay. That's very difficult. I suppose I'd have to go for Cut Esports just because they're riding the momentum of first place in again the June Origin Series monthly final. So I'm gonna think that they can settle the score this time around.
You know what? For me, Sunlight, they're coming in pretty hot from day number 1. So let's see if that will translate to day number 2. I just don't know how many games we'll be casting. So I'm just gonna assume we're gonna have a game 3. But of course, without further ado, we're gonna jump into the rosters and the lineups for both teams. Cut Esports, you have Risk, Boz, Joe, 6ix9ine, and Timos. For Sunlight, you have Raisin, Solo, Walid, Mads, and Lido.
As we can see, there has been a little bit of those roster changes. You know, we saw Waleed back in the June last month. He was in the top side of things, and now he is moving over to the mid lane. So I think there are going to be a lot of interesting things. For the side of Cut Esports, I think the player to watch is definitely Boss. He did play the Evelyn jungle. I think not exactly the most popular jungler, but jungle pick rather, but he made it work. And I feel like we might see Evelyn again, despite the couple of nerfs on this champion.
I think that's actually good because who would ban Evelyn at this point, right? Unless, Sunlight has something different in plan. But of course, we all have our answers. That is going to be, we all have the questions rather, which will be answered because we're going to jump into the pick and ban phase for game number 1.
Yeah, this is a totally different ball game. Last time they met, it was still 2 bans last time, but now it's 3. So now I'm curious where Cut is gonna cut off Sunlight's power. And it feels like they're gonna be starting off with, all these semi-global ults like the Pantheon. I'm not gonna be surprised if they take off the Twisted Fate as well, as it has been a powerful combo and put together. So maybe they'll be comfortable just leaving the Galio. But on the other hand, Akali being a huge, huge problem so far in other regions as well.
Good prediction coming in from Miku. Twisted Fate not gonna see the light of day in this game number 1. Evelyn! Okay, we were just talking about this. Apparently, Sunlight, they will ban that champion out. So you know what? Why should we deal with it? Let's just ban this out. And that is gonna be a Xinxiao ban for Cut Esports.
So just removing a little bit more of the jungle pool as well. So yes, Sunlight, just massive respect on Boss on that pick. So now Galio is open, Gragas is open. So I'm not very sure if any of the strong melee heavy dive will shine in this particular scenario, considering there's just a lot of disengage on the board that's going to be ready. But Renekton, though, for Sunlight, I think Lee Sin is available to be picked. Red side, Lee Sin Renekton is an incredibly oppressive first priority, but of course, Lucian is open. Why not just pick it up instead?
Yep. You know what? They would want to have that very powerful in the late game. I was about to say Sunlight could pick up Lee Sin and then Galio just to make sure that there's no problem. No one is gonna taunt whenever Lee Sin is gonna jump in, but that is gonna be a Camille and a Ziggs pickup. So you have the baby cage for Cut Esports.
The baby cage. I love it. The Hextech ultimatum for sure. So heavy single target damage and as well as a lot of pokes on the board already for Cut. In the meantime, though, Sunlight now picking up this Annie. So this mid and jungle duo with the Vi is going to be incredibly strong. And they're going to pour in. They're very strong when it comes to pick potential. So I am guessing this could be the approach for Sunlight.
I actually like this Saya pick. You know what? Vi is gonna jump in with the Assault and Battery. You have Annie with that Tibers. You also have Renekton with the Slice and Dice. Why not pick up a champion that can just root you to the ground with her feathers? Plus, you have her lover boy, the Charmer, Rakan.
I know Zaya is very self-sufficient when it comes to peel, and you add in the Rakan makes it so difficult. But at the same time, it is a struggle for sure for the Vi, as it can be. The Assault and Battery can basically be dodged, air quote, by the Feather Storm. So this is one of those things where, what will Sunlight pick this time around for a different target? Okay, the next best thing would be the Ziggs, which I think would be very doable.
I'm actually surprised that we get to see an Alistar in this day number 2. So without further ado, let's hop into the rift. Alright, welcome to Wild Rift, ladies and gentlemen. Again, this is going to be Cut Esports versus Sunlight. Just game number 1, series number 1. Let's see how these teams will perform or what kind of intense match will they show us today.
I know this is, a lot of the fans, especially for Group C, are going to be looking forward to this rematch, this very intense rivalry that we're seeing. Again, the score is 2-2 so far between these two teams, and this series that we're seeing now could be and is the tiebreaker.
3 champions here at the buff area, Annie as well as Ziggs, just to be very quiet in the mid lane. I expect more small fights here and there at the barrel lane, just because most likely Gragas will try to stop Renekton from snowballing, and that is going to be a jungler Camille. So you have Boss on that champion, but that's gonna be a very slow and early start. I'm not gonna be seeing any invades just yet, but I guess the extra sustain that Sunlight has with Alistar's passive would be important in the fights.
It's pretty even on the mid lane as well, with just, I suppose at this point of the game, a little bit of even footing on that wave clear. So the junglers will just settle with, pathing normally for now. But the thing is, just as you mentioned earlier on the Renekton, of course, Waleed wants to get ahead. Actually, he is now back at the top portion of the map with Heaven now in the mid lane. So this could be a fight.
Tactical sweep has been popped, but that is gonna be Vi. Has to be solo. Jumping in, you have the hookshot connecting onto one. That is gonna be the stuns connecting as well. Here comes Annie lurking at the side, but that is gonna be a jump out coming in from Vi. He was able to flash out. Explosive minefield has been used at the sides too. Dash out for Vi. At the very least, he did not get taken down. That is gonna be a bomb coming in from Ziggs, but no follow-up damage.
That is a huge win. Well, a win definitely in favor of Cut, because a Vi without a flash is a very vulnerable Vi. So come level 5, it's going to be a little bit awkward to try and assault and battery someone because you have no way out.
True. Oh, now you have 6-9 already up at level 4, and now you have Boss being able to get that Rift Scuttler. Let's see if Sunlight will try to at least push them back. That is gonna be the stuns connecting, but that's gonna be a flash out coming in from Renekton. So close though. If they want to re-engage, they could. Problem is, when it comes to the skill range, Gragas is the one in the lead. So I don't think Renekton will force this one out.
Yeah, it's too risky. And the fact that Joe could possibly reach level 5 soon and would just walk closely to the river and land the bomb on under his tower. So I think it's a good call to not be too greedy and just stay and just go back to base and recall.
Risk with that risky play, staying true to his IG. And yeah, now you have the lovebird still at Dragon Lane, being very quiet. Sai, of course, we won't be seeing much of her this early on, as well as Matt as they jump in. That is going to connect on the 2 knockups for the side of Cut Esports. A follow-up coming in from Lido, but Vi decided to not jump in just yet.
Now, this is what we brought up in the draft. It is going to be a tad difficult because 69 has that self-peel on the Featherstorm. You add in T-Moose here on this Rakan makes it extra difficult. And the fact that Solo didn't have Flash there, so of course, they will be a little bit hesitant in going 100%.
First Drake is gonna be up in 27 seconds. That is gonna be Risk jumping in. You have the stuns connecting, but at the very least, he was a tad bit too tanky against the damage from Waleed this early on. You have the recalls from the Dragon side. New items will be picked up, and they're just prepping for this first huge objective. Risk is just gonna focus on clearing out the minion wave. First Dragon is gonna be an Infernal Drake, and as you can see, Cut Esports, they are making their way through this dragon, making sure that Sunlight will not be able to have first dibs. But Mads was able to see Rakan there, and you also have Camille making her way through her teammates.
Yeah, this is important. This is the Infernal Drake as the first dragon. You want that extra damage for sure, as both teams will, consider this a very, very juicy target. So we will see a potential 5v5, but look at this. 69, actually very separated from the rest of the squad, so he might be a little bit vulnerable.
That is to be the Grand Entrance connecting onto him, but that's to be the Charms connecting as well. You have the Mega Inferno Bomb being Papalido down to the last 3 bars of his health. And Risk, he is here, decides to join the party. He still does have the ultimate, and that is going to be the go signal for Cut Esports to try and get that trick. That's like to be the calling popping in. You have 2 people being pinned down, but Red Team was able to take the first, but that's going to be their call being taken down. Rakan does say goodbye, and that is going to be Renekton popping in with his ultimate. 2 champions already down, and Gragas says goodbye as well, and that is going to be a double kill going over to Solo. Sai saying goodbye. Hextech ultimatum connecting onto 1, but Waleed was able to jump his way out of there.
It looked pretty good for us for Cut. The fact that Joe just had a lot of bombs to throw out to Sunlight. They were in a very awkward choke point as well, so Joe can just continually harass from that angle. But at the same time, Sunlight had that all in, and they were heavily relying on, on Risk to be that disengager, but, it wasn't really there.
I actually like how Walid was able to just isolate. Joe in that skirmish was not able to help with the explosive minefield or even with the bombs, which basically just translated to Sunlight being able to target whomever they want. And that was a very good hectic ultimatum. Sadly, there was no follow-up. Roots coming in from Saya that is to be reneked and jumping back. And here comes Rakan to save his lover. And Vi is there at the side. She does not have assault and battery though. So it looks like she's just gonna focus on farming. Rift Scutter already up. Camille would want to get her hands on that.
Yeah, they're looking for a first blood pick, maybe a potential tower dive here up against the Renekton. Oh,
that is Nadeem Zig saying goodbye. Wow, okay, that was kind of sad. Well, I guess if you're up against an Annie, that is bound to happen. But first, coming in from Sunlight, saying goodbye to this Ziggs and rotating over to this Rift Herald. Looks like there is vision for Cut Esports. They could and they should try to go with the steal. Still has Hextech Ultimatum. That is going to be him trying to pop in with a tactical sweep. But a headbutt coming in from Alistar. A huge no. NO. Go back. It's going to be him jumping in. So I see that is going to connect onto one. Let's be the stuns connect. You have the ultimate coming from Saya. No roots just yet. Root is going to connect onto the support. But looks like Renekton still waiting for the time to strike. Solo did not jump in. You also have Annie Heaven way far from his teammates. So they're not going to force this skirmish.
Yeah, this is Sunlight already got what they needed. Really nice visit in the mid lane, just to punish out Joe not having the flash. He will have flash soon, though, so this is going to be an entry point for, hey, okay, Cut. They want to get that first blood tower.
That is going to be Vi jumping in with Assault and Battery. You also have the Exhaust being popped. That's going to be Roots connecting on the two. But you also have the Mega Inferno Bomb being popped coming in from this Ziggs. But Killis going over to Vi, being able to just demolish Ziggs then and there. That is going to be a 3-0 in favor of Sunlight. But looking at the Dragon Lane, that is going to be the explosive cast not connecting. But Lucian still being taken down by this Camille. One turret away from the Baron lane, but Cut Esports being able to get their hands maybe on this Dragon Lane turret.
Yeah, they will definitely get this one, but a big bonus for Sunlight, they do get First Blood Tower Gold, and as well as a couple of plates. As the Rift Herald is still alive, they were able to secure that. And the thing about, Sunlight's composition is this is where they shine. They shine. It's the early game aggression. It's the early game all-in, while, we get to see a Cut Esports still not ready. We don't get to see Joe with the Ludens Rabadons just yet, so his bombs aren't gonna hurt as expected, as needed for the team just yet.
That flash in from Lido too, making things happen. But yeah, Maz not being able to juggle with that 2v1, eventually resulting to his death and jumping back into the game. Looks like Cut Esports, they can still make things happen, but there is such a lead for the side of Sunlight. You have a 3k gold lead. On top of that, they are 6 kills ahead. 2v2, maybe. And he does have Tibbers though, so looks like 6-9 as well as Timo's will just go back.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit too risky. They're still waiting.
Flash in and a rampage. Wow, that punch hurts a lot. I mean, if you're gonna punch Ziggs, that's sad reacts right there. Press F in the chat. But that is gonna be them jumping in. That's gonna be your engage coming for Sunlight. But you know what? It's gonna happen. Next, you have this ultimate coming in from Camille. Was able to isolate one. But you also have the trample coming in from Alistar. Was able to stun two. Goodness me, a follow-up for the side of Sunlight. Assemble going over to this Vi. And they are chasing this Gragas down. Camille just focused on farming. You have him under turret. But still, Sunlight being able to get or win that fight. 3-1 plus a Drake to beat.
Yeah, this is the second dragon for Sunlight. They've been getting a lot of kills onto Heaven. And that is the reason why Sunlight just doesn't stop pressing the go button.
Oh no, 1v1. Stuns, not gonna be enough. Camille did not have the Hextech ultimatum there, which is why it was solo. No, I mean, Walid was able to win that 1v1. Baron is gonna be up in 12 more seconds. You have the recalls coming in from Sunlight. Cut Esports still looking for, their proper footing. Which pick-off are they gonna be successful? They could just focus on ramping up damage for this Saya.
Yeah, they have to fight as 5. And the fact that Joe was basically out of the picture in this particular scenario means they've lost basically 50% of their damage already. So that means their chances of winning this fight was going to be extremely difficult. And again, they had to have risk to use the explosive cast. But the thing is, even though it was used, Sunlight has just so many ways to engage and re-engage the fight with the help, of course, of Lido here on this Alistair, and as well as Solo as well, even without the assault and battery, with just the charge in. He's 504, by the way. He is huge.
Beautiful start. I mean, what more could you ask, right? And we're still waiting for Mads to actually join the team fights. Hook shot connecting onto that turret, but she did get stunned. But you have the passive being powerless, has ultimatum being popped again. 2v1v, but here comes the other members of Sunlight. You have the Mega Inferno Bomb right and saying goodbye to SNBA, dominating Vi, being able to take down Camille. But here comes Tibbers, already be able to stun one. Double kill going over to Solo. Godlike, in fact, for this Vi. You have the ultimate coming in from Sayu. The Roots connect that is SNBA. No just yet, but stuns are gonna connect onto 2. Unstoppable going over to Heaven. Triple kill for this Vi. A legendary 4-1 plus the Baron for the red team for Sunlight.
Yes, Sunlight, 5k gold lead, all the kills going into the right places, to the right players. Heaven and Solo using this lead and continually snowballing it to the point where Cut is, slowly hesitating every single time. Again, one of their biggest chances is to wait for Joe to get, his second item on the board. Now he does have that Leandris instead of that Rabadon. So let's take a look at the replay there. And the thing is, Cut, unfortunately, even though they have the potential to get a pick and then run away with the help of the cast, with the help of the disengage, but because that, it was Sunlight getting ahead so early into the game, it's just so hard to pick people off instantly and run away. You get punished by this death ball of a squad from Sunlight. And my oh my, the Tibbers drops from Heaven are just godly.
Whew, that was too close for comfort for Boss. That is going to be Solo flashing in. Passive is going to be Prop, but you have the charms coming in. At this, they were able to win that outplay. That's going to be Solo being shut down and the kill. The gold going over to Boss. Can I just say that the adapted defenses saved Camille right then and there. Perfect time for the passive to be proc. But that is going to be a turret maybe being taken down, but the mini wave will be cleared out by Cut Esports. That is going to be the calling being popped. You also have Saya jumping out with her ultimate, but it's not going to be enough. Godlike going over to Heaven. Saya saying goodbye again, and now that is going to be Camille. Will you be able to defend the turret? Let's wait and see. You also have a fresh wave of minions pouring in at the mid lane. That is going to be the last outer turret for the mid lane for Cut Esports, saying goodbye. That is going to be Gragas. Stuns are going to connect. Oh no, you were just going back, my good friend, but apparently you got deleted in the map, and another turret falling down for Sunlight.
And this opens up the map even more. And there's just so many deaths on the board for Cut. Sunlight has just so much space to work with. They still have that mid lane tower standing, but that's the third dragon of the game for them.
That is going to be his ultimatum. Onto one, but you have the stuns coming in. But you all have the stuns coming in for Alistair, but he does get taken down with this Rakan. Rakan being the fried chicken against Lucian. And now you have Boss being chased by this crocodile. Oh no! Hook shot connecting onto one. Saya being able to get that kill. A crown dragon being taken by Vi. But you know what? The kites coming in from 6-9 is just too much. Was able to get a double kill. The exhaust being popped as well. Camille saying goodbye. Heaven does become golden, but he still gets bursted down by this thing. A shot down onto Heaven. And Cut Esports really working their way up. That is going to be a 4-2 in favor of the team in blue.
Yeah, they want their turnaround here. They're able to win that 4v5, and then, because Solo was focusing the dragon, Sunlight had the numbers disadvantage in that collapse, and the chase potential coming from the side of Cut in this particular composition just works so great in this scenario. And the fact that, I believe Heaven had to run away as well in that fight, had to circle around, so he was absent after Mads just wanting to run away. And I think this is just the trickling that we saw from Sunlight, and the comeback could potentially begin. There are a couple of shutdown gold coming in, and I think as long as Cut fights 5v5, there is that big possibility. And I'm seeing, the Rakan over here, Timu's going with the AP Rakan over here, waiting for that Rabadon as his second item.
support and damage dealer. Why not, right? Also, looking back at the replay, the placements coming in from Six and SBA flash in, connecting all this really good headbutt coming in from Alistar, but that SBA jump in for Mads. Does become gold. You have Hex, the ultimatum being popped. You see how the charms coming in from Makan. Will they be able to survive? Ziggs does get bursted down, but that is too tanky for them to actually handle. Lido and Heaven making things happen. A hook shot away for Boss, but that is the stuns connecting onto Gragas and Renekton being able to flash up. Here comes Lido. Headbutt yet again. Saya being taken down. Stuns for Boss. Will you survive? That is going to be him being burned, but still he is pretty much A-okay. Hook shot up. Lido jumping in. Plus that badge. A double kill going over to Lido. And you have Walid. You have Heaven. Just focusing on the turret plus a wave at that. That is going to be a 5-2 in favor of Sunlight.
Yeah, they can end this. There's 5 seconds on the clock for Joe, though, but the biggest question is, can he hold out this onslaught? There are so many low health targets, though, for Sunlight.
They can still push. They just have the Mega Inferno Bamboo, Lido, plus he got hit by the Nexus twice. Ziggs gets bursted down, though, but Sunlight, they do not want to just lose any more time. They went straight to the Nexus and eventually bagged game number 1.
Yeah, they wanted to end it there and then, and it looked like as if Cut Esports were on that brink. We're close to taking the game back for themselves, but at the end of the day, Sunlight was just in such a huge lead at that point, and they were pretty comfortable to afford a couple of, mistakes here and there.
Yep, you know what? That honestly made me so hyped that I feel like I can cast 4 or 5 more games like that. The back and forth from the teams was just so on point. But of course, to give you more detailed analysis from the game number 1, we have the drawing board for Riku.
Yeah, I think it all started over here in the Dragon area, because at this point of the game, it seemed quite even, where the side of Sunlight did have that 2k gold lead. But the thing is, when you're in Dragon Pit, usually it was very successful. Joe was able to create this space. A lot of low health targets already. But the thing is, this team composition coming from Cut heavily relies on everybody coming together. And Sunlight, if you're not going to be together, if you're going to be separated like this, then that is the point where it's Sunlight's time to shine, basically. And I think that is the result that we saw. I feel like, Heaven did have a lot of star Tibber drops and as well as stuns. So I felt like it was such a huge deal. This particular scenario, this particular fight just basically snowballed the entire game.
True, and from then on, Sunlight was able to just utilize the lead that they had. On top of that, again, that is an Infernal Drake. That's gonna mean a lot for them, and it came to a point that even though Cut Esports, they were able to make things happen on their side, Sunlight still pretty much ahead. So that is gonna be the first game being bagged by Sunlight. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this rivalry will end up in this July month. But yeah, again, what a game. What a game number 1.
I know. That's the thing about this rivalry. Every time Cut and Sunlight would face each other, it's always a 2-0. We've never seen them in a 2-1 scenario, and it could be a little bit different this time around. And I feel like that could be such an exciting way to air quote end, at least for the July Origin series. Maybe they can still meet in the grand finals, actually, because this is just the upper bracket finals.
True. So of course, without further ado, let's jump into game number 2. If you forgot the IGNs of our players, do not fret, the Origin series got you. Here are the team rosters: Cut Esports, Risk, Boz, Joe, 6ix9ine, and Timos. For Sunlight, we have Raisin, Solo, Walid, Mads, and Lido. Riku. These players are very, very talented.
Yeah, they're incredible at what they do, and it just makes this entire series extra exciting. So now it's back to the drawing board for Cut Esports. I'm curious to see what they will switch up this time around, because it's just one of those things where Galio is open, but we didn't get to see that actually being picked up. Maybe this time around they will have an answer to this heavy hyper early game aggression composition if Sunlight decides to pick it up again.
Will we see a Galio? Will we still be seeing an Annie? Which will be the ADC? Those questions will be answered as we jump into the pick and ban phase for game number 2.
I feel like, we will see the Pantheon, the Twisted Fate once more as a ban. I wouldn't be surprised if Evelyn decides to ban it against Boss again, just because we've seen how it was such a huge problem back in the Group C finals last month. Meanwhile, Akali is very dependent on what is open. I feel like if there is a heavy focus on Gragas bans and as like Galio, Rakan, maybe that's a time Akali shouldn't be picked. But this time around, Sunlight, okay, we want all these heavy melee hitters to be unleashed into the rift, so might as well just ban out this Akali.
Cool, plus a Braum ban. Looks like Braum still not going to be seeing the light of day, but Cut Esports finally banning out that Annie. Good adjustment, and you did say a lot of good plays from this Annie game number 1. Very good Tibbers drops, and you know what? Evelyn still not going to be open in this game.
Yeah, they're not going to give that to Boss. But look, that Gragas is open, Galio is open, Olaf is open, by the way. So for Cut, they're going the Olaf route. Maybe we're going to be expecting a Seraphine mid lane, maybe a Lulu, maybe the other alternative for the movement speed that you need for the rest of the team to follow through our Ragnarok, which is the Nami support. So I feel like we could see that. For Sunlight, that's going to be a Renekton mid lane, I'm guessing. That could be a Renekton mid lane, and then Malphite at top side. We've seen Renekton back in League PC days, in the Wild Rift Icon series as well, in the mid lane, and it can potentially snowball as well, because you have access to both lanes this time around.
That's a lot of CCs actually for the first 2 picks of Sunlight, but the Cut Esports are gonna pick up this Camille, and now we are gonna be seeing the first Jax of this July Origin series. Galio open and now picked up by Sunlight. Wow, that's 3 beefy frontliners for Sunlight.
This could be the Protect the Queen composition I'm seeing right now. So they do have a bunch of magic damage on the board already anyways, which is, it will compensate through Malphite, through the Galio. So they have no worries there in that section. So curious to see if that's going to be a Galio support, or maybe they want to add in, I don't know, another support to protect perhaps this, maybe a jungler. Maybe we get to see a jungler, maybe not. It is going to be, Renekton jungler? Okay, you have an idea. Malphite jungle?
Maybe Malphite jungler. Really?
I feel like it's a Renekton jungle. Okay, anyway. We'll get to see it actually later on. Zion Rakan, though, for Cut Esports. So this is what they've picked up earlier, self-peel. They will need it a lot, by the way, with a Malphite, with a Galio on the opposite side.
They just have to protect Saya with all their might, but at the very least, they have a Jax to, just be the B front line. Plus, you have Camille that can isolate anyone with her Hextech ultimatum. As crazy as the drafts are, we are still very much excited. So let's jump into game number 2.
We will finally know the answer, though. I think it is. Wait a minute. That is a Jax.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, that is a Jax. Okay. Our answers, our questions have been answered, actually. So Sol is on the Jack, so he is going to be the jungler, and it is going to be Mads on the Corgi. So it's a double AD carry composition for Sunlight. And in the meantime, the Galio and, the Malphite, it's all there for Cut. And this is going to be the classic Boss will press Ragnarok, Joe will join in the fight, Risk will initiate as well with the Unstoppable Force, and then 69 can either catch up with the Killer Instinct or with the Tidal Wave, if you will. Tidal Wave can be used maybe for engage as well and disengage. So with that, equation, or rather setup, Cut has a pretty solid composition so far from what we're seeing.
Indeed, they do. Oh, that is going to be Gali just chasing down Corgi, but I guess that is just him trying to scare off the ADC, the mid laner for the side of Sunlight. And now the usual fights here and there at the bottom lane. That is Nibiru Walid being able to push Risk back on their turret. Now Mas just sitting at a level 2. Corgi actually can be in a pretty safe distance up against this Galio as long as Galio does not dash in. Lido and Heaven. Apparently Heaven now in this ADC role. I also love the fact that our players, they can play a lot of roles. Heaven was in the Annie in the mid lane earlier, but you know what? Now he's in ADC. I feel like playing ADC this game too. Let's go.
I know, Waleed was seen yesterday on the Twisted Fate in the mid lane, and now he's back at the top lane. So yeah, a lot of flexes that we're seeing coming from Sunlight. But in the meantime, though, I feel like with this current setup, it is going to be quite a quiet game for pre-level 5, I suppose, especially when we look at the mid lane. They are going to be waiting for level 5 to influence the top portion of the map. I feel like Waleed should be a little bit careful because they have to watch out for Joe with a hero's entrance. He can't exactly be aggressive. And the fact that you're up against a Malphite. So that will stunt the growth of Waleed a little bit.
We also have the bubbles connecting. Grand entrance not gonna connect though, so looks like Lido is just gonna go back to Heaven. And on top of that, I do agree it is gonna be quite the longer game just because Sunlight also has this Jax. Jax is pretty passive in the early up until the first half of the mid game maybe, but second half of the mid game up until late game, that is where he shines. You know, jumping in, stun, and just tank an obnoxious amount of damage, maybe even withstand the Icathan rain that's gonna come out from 6-9. But now, still in the early game, Mads just clearing out the wave while Lee down to the last 2 bars of his health. Risk though, not gonna take the risk at this point. He's just gonna go with the recall.
I feel like it could be a challenge for Waleed. I think he has to wait for the taunt to come out first from Joe before he gets to comfortably slice and dice and enter the fight, perhaps. But in the meantime, though, for Cut, or rather for Sunlight, double AD composition. No, not a lot of magic damage sources actually. No AP as much, maybe a little bit from Mads. But this just means, you know, Risk can just happily build for full armor. Boss can happily build full armor, and you know, this can definitely help the survivability for the frontliners to be that sponge and survive a little bit more in the fight.
Ooh, first dragon is going to be up in 25 seconds. Here are the items so far from our 2 teams. If you want to, you know, just keep track of what they plan to build. That's going to be a double clear, not double kill. Double clear maybe from Solo. Okay, I guess just prioritize the buff. Now going over to that very cute frog. And now 9 more seconds left. Recall is coming in. They are getting ready for the first wake of the match. It is the mountain. Extra shield, extra sustain. Should they want to go with the fights in the later parts of the matches. Still a pretty quiet map though. But Waleed already getting his first item in, and they are just gonna pour themselves in the dragon pit. Tankiness, damage, both teams need to have this, but Solo will be having first dibs on that Rift Scuttler. You also have Boss jumping in, but you know else who jumped in as the bomb. You also have the tidal wave coming in. Bubble is gonna be used right there. First blood going over to Cut Esports. Jax does get disseminated. Now you have Joe at the back line. He does dash in. Taunts are not gonna connect, but you have the Evan Flow coming in from Timos. Bubble not gonna connect, but that is gonna be 3 to none in favor of Cut Esports, and looks like they will be having their hands on this dragon. Mads and Heaven still lurking at the sides.
Yeah, this is, you know, Mads and as well as the rest of Sunlight just trying to poke and see if they can get an extra kill, or rather a consolation kill, because it was a complete 3-0 on that start. And this is how it started. It was Solo starting the fight. He was the first one to die. He had to eat an aqua prison. And again, at this point, the Sunlight's composition isn't exactly ready to fight just yet. They're still waiting for the 2-item power spike coming from Mads, actually opting for the Triforce power spike first rather than the first item Manamune, just to stack up. So they wanted to speed up the process a little bit for this Corki, because they still have to wait on Heaven to rack up a little bit more of those items in his inventory to be more impactful in the team fight. So with that, Cut are very comfortable in this early game right now.
Ooh, that's gonna be Timos being targeted, but you have the Aqua Prison connecting onto Solo. Here comes Waleed though, just making his way. That's gonna be the taunts connecting onto 2, but that is gonna be the stuns connecting onto Joe. Jax does get bursted down. You have the tidal wave coming in. Aqua Prison yet again. Who? Goodbye. The moment you get in that bubble, but that is gonna be Mads flashing in at the sides. But you know what? A double kill going over to Olaf. He does not care. Grand entrance coming in from Lito, but there is no follow-up damage. You have Heaven being focused by Olaf. Good route, so but will it be enough? That is gonna be a yes, a no, a maybe. Heaven Heaven using the ultimate and was able to flash out, but still gets bursted down by that Kaisa.
How did Boss survive all that? And the answer is because of T-Moose's all the heals in the world just for him. And it's a really good bait. It forced out Heaven to stay a little bit more and see if he can get an exchange kill after all that fight, after losing again in the second skirmish. But Cut just wins again. It is 8-0 now on the scoreboard. They not only get the first dragon from earlier, but they also get the Rift Herald, and they may even they've already gotten First Blood Tower, maybe another extra kill, but looks like Waleed is able to port back to safety.
That was so close. I did not breathe the moment that Undertow was popped by Olaf.
I know, it was just too close with lead. Again, this is just one of those things where they can actually afford to get a kill and then try to get away. But the thing is, it's so difficult when you're up against Joe here on, this Galio. Look at him just tower tanking, just standing there for the rest of the squad. But there's another fight down bot.
Okay, that is him popping in with that Ragnarok Lito being deleted in the map. This is the moment Heaven does get pressed down. Triforce already available for solo. And this is just the time where Cut Esports' lineup shine. It's very in your face. I mean, Olaf literally runs in your face. So there's that. And you also have the Rift Herald just focusing on that turret. The moment they did summon Rift Herald, though, you have Olaf rotating over to the mid lane. That is going to be the Gatagon connecting on to one. Joe being healed by Timo. That is going to be the speed boost as well. Looks like they will not be able to chase them down. That is no flash for Waleed. No flash for Sai as well. Disengaged from Boss, but he is going to re-engage again. Here comes the Valkyrie. Mad does jump in, but that's to be a very good unstoppable force coming in from Risk. But that's to be the burn being able to take him down. Stuns, knock-up. When Renekton gets taken down, you have the charms coming in from this Rakan. Was able to pull, but that's to be a 2-3 champion. Mute connecting on the three people. I did say 3, but now that's to be Heaven forced to go back. Cut Esports still holding their ground in the mid lane. That is gonna be Joe jumping in, dashing in. That is gonna be him though being mounted airborne, but killing spree going over to Joe. He does have Roa, has quite the damage, and he was able to win that small duel against Lido.
It was Mads earlier. You'd think that he was safe from the burn, but he's apparently not safe from the water coming from Timo's there. And he is actually on a killing spree already. And there's just so many instances where, Sunlight may pick up a shutdown gold from any of the members, maybe, especially from Boss. But the great bait has happened and Boss still lives. Actually has one death already. Now that even has the death stand, so it's even more difficult, I suppose, for Sunlight to keep focusing him down, especially when Timo is around with the heals.
Heals and sustains, and that's just perfect for this Olaf. You did mention this, that Nami is going to be a good pickup, a good support should you try to lock in that Olaf. You have missiles coming in from Mads, but that is not going to do much. Ooh, that first skill from Malphite apparently hurts a lot. That's going to be 2 life bars down from this Corki. But now, Sunlight making their way up at the Baron lane. Timo's as well as 6ix9ine jumping out with this engage. You have the Void Seeker connecting onto Lito. I'm not sure if they are going to jump in though. But Baron is going to be up in 4 more seconds. Cut Esports really locking this Baron. They have their eyes on this. They are gonna make sure that Sunlight will not be able to make anything happen. You have the knockups coming in. That is gonna be Waleed already popping in with his ultimate, but that is gonna be 6ix9ine being targeted by these 2 champions. That Caitlyn Rain hurts a lot. Also, the Void Seeker connecting was able to get taken down. Now Waleed forced to jump away. Now you have Saya. Here comes Rakan as well, but here comes Joe at the backlines. Rampage going over to Kaisa. Now that is gonna be the Aqua connecting on the 2. You have the knock-up airborne. Kaisa saying goodbye. But you have the taunts as well as another unstoppable force for the side of Cut Esports. Saya saying goodbye. That is going to be a 4-2 in favor of Cut Esports.
What a fight! What a fight from Cut! It started off with a 2v2, and then the rest of Cut, like Joe and Risk, joining in. And it's just so crazy because I believe, Joe and Risk had to manually walk towards topside, and it was 69 and team was just surviving till the rest of his teammates, their teammates, joined the fray. And let's take a look at that again. I think it's insane how two champions like a Renekton, like a Jax, will pop in to a Kaisa, and 69 still able to survive after all that. Here comes the rest of the squad. I mean, Hero's entrance wasn't there, but another kill may fall, but actually towards Sunlight.
Shut down onto Galio. Also, 6'9 got rooted, but he still survived that fight. What's happening? Wildrift really messing with my heart there. But yeah, that's just got esports really stepping up, and Baron is up. No one going to that area yet, though. I guess cut esports, they would want to just clear out as much threats as they can, or just force Sunlight into this awkward pickups, awkward fights. We are still waiting for Solo, for Jax to make anything happen. A good initiate on top of Waleed's stun. Maybe that's when Mads as well as Heaven can go with the follow-up, or maybe even Lito, with the flash in charm. Undertow? No? Okay. No. They are just gonna say hi, hello.
Just a little bit of a greeting there. But yeah, I'd have to agree. It is going to be Sunlight heavily relying on Lito to fully engage. This is going to be a two-man Baron with 69 and team was just trying to zone out Sunlight. But they still have to respect the pokes. The longer they do the Baron dance, the more that they get shredded by Mads here. So I think they wanted to play safe, even though they're, already an 11k gold lead.
That is true. Well, static shift now up for Heaven at the very least. The next dragon is going to be up in 25 seconds. Waleed will just go in the recalls maybe, as well as Zircon. But Cut Esports, you have 3 champions just holding their ground at the mid lane and rotating over to that dragon pit. Olaf is already there, already having first dips at this buff. Sad reacts for Solo on this Jax. No buff for you, good sir. But that is going to be an Infernal Drake that could maybe be in the hands of Cut Esports or Khan, as well as Jax making their way through this pit. Drake now up. Sunlight still pretty far from the Dragon's pit.
Yeah, no vision, so they cannot risk it. They don't have disengage, so they're very afraid to walk in to scout and then just get caught out. And then 13 minutes into the game, maybe the death timers aren't as unforgiving. But Baron is up, and Cut Esports has a ton of space to work with. In the instance that Sunlight just pushes a little bit, extends a little bit, they're going to be taking advantage of that.
Ooh, most of that's Cut Esports maybe making their way into the base, but that's the stun connecting onto Boss, but he is A-okay. He is very tanky. You also have Nami coming in. He still has Ragnarok, which he just now popped. He's going to commit over to Mads, but Mads was able to take a step back. Now Timos, there is stuns connecting coming in from Renekton. Still, no one is dying. No casualties for these two teams. They are being very careful. 6-9 focusing on the turret. Few pokes here and there against Lito. They are probably going to wait for the next fresh wave of minions. The turret down to 1,000 of its health left. But you're not going to be a jump in. Proto Belt in. Joe with the initiate, with the taunts, with the jump. You also have the stuns coming in. You also have the Aqua person from that Nami. Let's be the Valkyrie being popped. You have a 3 champion knockup courtesy of this Malphite, but Matt is there at the back line, being able to kite everyone down. 6-9 being targeted, Jack saying goodbye. 2 champions down rather for the side of Cut Esports, whereas you have 3 champions down for Sunlight.
That could have ended with Sunlight winning that particular team fight because, Timus didn't have mana at that point. There's not going to be a lot of healing. So that was the call from Cut. Even though technically they had a 3v2 advantage, they still wouldn't want to risk it just because there's just so much range coming from Mads. And, it's still mission accomplished from Cut, though. They have 3 dragons. They've managed to take down the mid lane inhibitor tower already. 69 was able to get a bunch of kills before exiting. So this gives a lot of space for this Baron.
Ooh, Heaven does not have her ultimate just yet. There is going to be a ward placed from the red side, already giving vision, or they already have a feel on where Cut Esports is at the Baron area. But still looks like Malphite, Sai, and Olaf had something different in mind, while Lee just gonna clear out the neutral jungle creeps. Cut Esports, they want to pick a fight. I mean, yes, they're not having first dips in this Baron, but they're pretty much prepared should Sunlight try to go with the initiate. Nice bubble, nice Aqua person from that Nami. Will they be able to steal it? That is going to be a no. Tidal Wave has been used as well. And
Is
are they going to go
going in?
disengage? No,
Yes.
they're going to jump in. Ragnarok already connected. What a beautiful jump coming from Malphite side. He does get bursted down. You also have the hero's entrance coming in from Galio. Triple kill going over to Kaisa. Prado belt in. That is going to be Kaisa. Killer instinct her way in. Quadra kill for the queen of the late game. In fact, make that a pentakill. Going over to 6-9. A shutdown on Corki. And we see a game number 3.
Yes, exactly. What a way to finish the game with a pentakill for 69. That was an insane finish. And you just wanted, Sunlight just wanted to see if they can take Baron Steel to survive a little bit longer in that particular match, but it didn't happen. And once you see an Olaf press Righteous Glory, that is the time you have to run, but they don't have tools to run, they don't have disengage, and that's exactly what we saw, the pentakill for 69.
They could have dropped their phones then and there. I was like, is Olaf gonna... Okay, he's running. But yeah, we have a lot to talk about in that game, so we'll be saying that alongside our highlights for game number 2.
It started off with this dragon fight, and this is Sunlight's composition is not ready. They still have to wait for Mads' 2-item power spike, Heaven a little bit further into the game as well. So this type of comp, they are going to be relying on Waleed to snowball. But when you're up against Risk at the top side on a Malphite, and Joe having that semi-global ultimate, it just makes things harder for a Renekton to try and snowball and help you transition to the mid game.
Ooh, that kite's coming in. And yeah, if we're gonna look at the late game, which will be seeing the highlight at the later parts of that match, I just have to commend the Unstoppable Force as well as the very good Heroes entrance by Malphite and Galio, Risk and Joe, respectively. A lot of initiative, a lot of re-engage, basically like there. 3 champion knockup, even though they were forced to go back. That was a huge help. That was a huge advantage for Cut Esports. And even though 6-9 was quiet in the early up until mid part of the game, here in the late game, Kate and Rain, Void Seeker getting a triple kill. You also have again that Portable to jump in. She even used her killer instinct just to secure that pentakill. And what a way to end game number 2. I've been talking about it. I'm so sorry, guys. I guess I jinxed it. I kept on talking about the game number 3, and then here we are.
I know, that means it's 3-3 now on the scoreboard. Coming from the June Origin monthly finals, these two teams have fought before. 2-2 and now 3-3. This is the tiebreaker. I'm very curious to see, because this is just the upper bracket finals. There is a potential for them to meet at the grand finale towards the very end. So this is just a little tease, but I think it's already very huge and exciting.
Yep, and of course, we'll be taking another look at the roster for Sunlight and Cut Esports. Will 6-9 be able to win or still get another pentakill, or will Mad step up? A lot of questions in our heads, but again, these are the rosters for our 2 teams. This is just series number 1, and I need to turn up my air conditioning again because that's just how intense the matches are.
I know it's raining really hard too, so it's a little bit chilly, but the matches are intense, are firing it up. Yes, I think that's the correct term. But yeah, maybe we get to see Waleed in the mid lane this time around, perhaps back on the Twisted Fate, sort of enable the Renekton, because it feels like they really love this Renekton pick, but doesn't really have the certain conditions to propel and possibly help the Renekton snowball in the early game or become that lane bully that we know since the League PC days. It's gonna be interesting for the pick and bans for sure, because so far from what we've picked up, they really like unleashing the Gragas. They don't want to ban the Gragas, they don't want to ban the Galio, and as well as the Rakan. So all of these things are pretty much potentially be maybe anti-dive comps as well. So I'm guessing we might see a Twisted Fate Renekton, either towards Sunlight or maybe towards I got this. Cut esports.
Cut esports. Yes. Yeah, I do expect we'll be seeing another Renekton in this game number 3, but we're gonna hop into the pick and ban phase to see if our predictions are correct.
Pantheon ban, Evelyn ban,
Yes.
for sure, from Sunlight.
Definitely.
Yeah, Akali ban. But I think Twisted Fate might be left open. I feel like this is a battle of maybe we get to see a Twisted Fate, we get to see a Ziggs, perhaps. It's usually just the battle of those two mid laners now being that fallback if you're not opting for something like an Orianna or a Seraphine that will help an Olaf. Initiate basically with a whole squad. So now the question is, will Cut and Sunlight opt for an Olaf composition this time?
I mean, why fix what's not broken? Cut esports, they could pick up the Olaf again, but that is still gonna be an Ani ban. Oh, Sunlight already banning out Nabi. Ebb and Flow, Aqua Prison, Tidal Wave, you are a hassle. So goodbye to this moving sushi.
I know, Teemo's had a phenomenal performance on that champion, and it also means that if Cut decides to pick up an Olaf, then they could pick up a Seraphine instead to help out as the another alternative if the Nami is not going to be available. So we might see a Lulu too, actually. Maybe Seraphine mid, Lulu support. It could be a possibility. But with the Braum, with the Gragas available as well, if it's a double disengage for Sunlight, this means Cut. If they pick this heavy aggressive team, then I think they will struggle this time around.
Jinzhao already open as well, and Sunlight will pick that up. So you have Braum for the shields, you have like this Fisher as well, you have Shinjao for the jump ins, and you have a Lucian. That gunner, that very huge damage, dishing out damage champion. You mentioned Seraphine. Looks like Cut Esports will be picking that up for themselves. Maybe Seraphine can pop the Hex up, can pop the Encore after Olaf jumps in with the Ragnarok or after Camille uses her Hextech ultimatum.
Yeah, I have to time it well, considering that there is that Unbreakable. We've seen Brahms just full on build, MR just to see they can survive the onslaught of a Seraphine. I think we've seen that once. Now, Wukong, though, being picked up for Sunlight alongside with an Ahri. So this could be a Wukong top. Actually, even though the sustain coming from a Wukong top laner or solo laner has been nerfed a little bit, so I think it is a possibility for Sunlight to pick up. Could be wrong. It could be the other way around. I don't think I've seen Xin Zhao at top just yet, but Rakan will be the last pick coming from Cut Esports.
Quite a squishy lineup for Cut Esports aside from Olaf, of course, so they have to be extra careful given that there is a threat of a knock-up from the side of Sunlight. So let's see which Jaff will be the one that can win this game number 3. So without further ado, let's jump into the Rift. Welcome to Wild Rift, and this is the last game for our series number 1. Who will be able to win in this rivalry? You have 4 champions. Are they gonna do the sudden mid lane fight? No? Okay. Now you have Lucian just making his way at the Dragon lane. Oh, nope. I was right. They want to be this aggressive, but looks like you have Seraphine. That high note was able to give them vision.
Yeah, it is one of those things where, okay, we have a strong level 1. Well, maybe we can try to burn out a summoner spell, perhaps. Considering that the mid lane has 0 kill pressure if you're up against a Seraphine. Especially as well, actually, this changes things up a bit. You are paired with a Xin Zhao. So I believe Zhou should be a little bit careful here as they can be aggressive. Come level 3. Actually, level 5 is a prime position to see if they can open up a kill against Zhou.
Now you have Boss just minding his own business. And yeah, Joe being very careful at the mid lane. Looking at the barrel lane though, looks like Wukong was able to just shoo Olaf a tad bit back, but Solo still has an orb of deception maybe. Normal or pretty standard laning phases from our 2 teams, but looking at the Dragon lane, that is going to be a lot of folks coming in from 6-9. Oh, that's gonna be the first blood going over actually to Olaf. That was fast. I just said he was able to push Olaf back, but apparently Risk had enough of it. He will have none of it, and he already has his level 4 plus a very good wave of minions pushing in on the turret.
Yeah, he had a 2-level advantage. I was guessing during the fight it was a 1-level advantage in favor of Risk. And that is the thing when you're up against an Olaf. The lower he gets, the scarier he gets on the HP department. And now that's what we saw. Heaven even opting for a more aggressive summoner spell. Risk having a bit more of that defensive sum spell with that barrier. So for Sunlight, or for Heaven rather, I think he has to be on his toes this time around, especially come level 5 rather. Cyclone will come in. You don't get to do anything though. You don't get to proc your CC just because Risk has Ragnarok to counter that.
Teemo still at the level 3, almost at level 4 though. Nice to be mad jumping in with the kites, but now Risk will Heaven need. Oh, Heaven is now at the Baron lane. Okay, hello. But yeah, still needs to recover from that first blood that he gave over to Risk. Risk rather is 1 level up against Wukong. Ping's going all over at the Dragon lane though, so maybe we might be seeing an engage from Camille. Boss does have the Hexic ultimatum. I think he did use a hook shot there, but Braum alongside Mads is still pretty much alive, still pretty much healthy, and now Heaven, that is me the slowest connecting, but Risk is just gonna focus on clearing out the minion wave.
Yeah, there is kill potential here.
Oh, that is gonna be the stun, the charm rather, not gonna connect. They have Seraphine just sitting at the side. Joe, since they did not have any foreseeable targets, they are just gonna go back. We are 3 minutes into this game. 2K goal lead in favor of Cut Esports. Still a pretty quiet map so far. Maybe we'll be seeing the first fight once the first dragon is up. I mean, that's what we saw in game number 1.
Yeah, it's because of the junglers, and it's because of the mid lane, I suppose. It's very hard to kill a Seraphine, just because there's just the movement speed, there's just the shields. Joe is even sporting the flash and barrier, so it is going to be a little bit difficult. You will need an additional CC to try and lock Joe down. And it has something to do with the top laners as well. We get to see Heaven playing a little bit more safe. He has been hugging his tower ever since the 1v1 loss. And at the bottom portion of the map, it's the classic actually. Mads Lido with a Lucian from the oppressive duo of League PC. And what we saw even back in the Wilder Falcon series, it's not exactly as strong as what we've seen back in LoL PC, and that's what we're seeing right now. Especially there's a ton of range from 69, and especially there is a Rakan as well. When you want to dive in, you're just gonna get greeted by a knock-up by Teemos.
Teemos, I thought he was gonna try and catch Lido off guard there. Mads did spot out Teemos as well as Boss. That is gonna be Heaven being able to pop out with his clone, and now Risk could go with the reset but could just focus on taking down Wukong just to make sure that he will not be able to go or respond to the dragon lane, to the dragon's pit. Cut Esports as well as Sunlight, they are just holding their ground, still going over with the dragon dance, maybe hook shot in. Looks like that is gonna be Boss already having first dibs on this dragon. You have Walid with Shinjao. He does have his ultimate charm. It's not gonna connect. Also, Teemos coming in with the shield. Lido just waiting for a perfect opportunity. That is gonna be the Honor connecting onto one. You have the roots there as well. Red Teemos able to get a Cloud Dragon, and now they're going all in. A flash out from the side of the blue. That is gonna be 6-9. Valkyrie his way in, but that just spelled his very own death. Seraphine with the flash out. Roots gonna connect as well. You have the knock-up swing from Teemos with the beat up that font of life game proc, but still has been a charm connecting onto this boss. But you have the auto attacks, no orb perception just yet, and Cut Esports will be able to survive. You also have the heals, the speed boost from Joe. No other casualties. 1-1 the scoreboard. Rip Herald gonna be up in 20 seconds. Heaven jumping in, 2v1ing, but the other clone is actually not moving. That is gonna be Risk just being very aggressive. A lot of damage in his kit, in his pockets, was able to push Heaven back. He could get the turret, but looks like he's just gonna play it safe. Whoa.
Yeah, there's so many things going on, and this is Waleed just joining in the fight. The thing is, everybody else can join. Mads can just dash, Spirit Rush coming from solo, but it's too risky because they didn't have any vision, though.
There is
Top lane.
Walid. Cut does not have vision. That is going to be Boss checking if he can take out Solo. Risk does have Ragnarok. Hook shot out. Looks like Cut Esports. Let's not overstay your welcome. Let's just focus on getting this objective. Your health again is up. I thought they were going to give it a go, but looks like Sunlight will be the ones to actually secure this Rift Herald. Maybe, unless Cut Esports tries to do something there. 6-9 is there as well. You have the quickness being pop. You have the stuns. The roots connecting. Bro being bursted down. Shinjao saying goodbye. That is going to be a 2-0 in favor of Cut Esports. And looks like you have Solo, you have a Maz at the mid lane. Triforce already available for a boss. Will they disengage? Risk still has Ragnarok, and Joe still has that Encore. And you have Heaven. He cannot defend the turret right here, so he just decided to let go. Ari being bursted down at the mid lane though. A double kill going over to Seraphine. Yo, what? Killing going over to Joe. Here comes Lido. Hello, Joe. As he the slows connecting onto one. They're focusing down on everybody. Here comes Aliot coming in from Boss. Hook shot. The passive being prop. That is going to be the Glacier Fisher being used as well. Olaf saying goodbye. Walid. That is going to be the next target, but he still gets bursted down. The Brom in that skirmish. You'd think the support will die, but no, he was the one that survived that fight.
I know. Let's take a look at that Encore. That was beautiful. And we know how Risk has been extremely painful from winning the 1v1s already. He is basically, in a comfortable spot to keep going. Once he gets that undertow win, once he sees so much damage, he has space to keep going. Especially when you pair him up with Joe. That is the reason why they picked up the Seraphine in the first place. But in the meantime, it is Cut still in the lead in this particular game. With that said, middle lane is actually very close to ending. With 69, with its range, I feel like when Sunlight will be focused on the bottom portion of the map like this, as we see right now, Cut can actually see if they can open this map even more.
Charm not gonna get it, but you know what? That is gonna be the Unbreakable being popped by Lido. Timos, that was too close for comfort. The passive is to be proc, but he is A-okay. Here comes Camille. Hextech ultimatum. Shinja being burst down. Flash is being burned. They are forced to jump out, but Ari gets taken down. That is gonna be Cut Esports being able to get through. Anchor not gonna connect. You still have the Unbreakable. Roots are gonna connect as well, but Cut Esports, safe to say, they're the ones that won that scrimmage. Dragon gonna be up in 10 seconds. Recalls here and there, just go with the reset. There are some pings at the Dragon area though. Now you have Heaven making his way into the Dragon pit, but Cut Esports very much happy with the win that they got.
Yeah, it is still... let's take a look at that fight first, though, because this one Solo, or rather, in Ari in general, once an Ari misses a charm, that is basically a big signboard that says, okay, come and get us. And that's exactly what Cut did. The charm not hitting, they just went all in, and now Dragon is gonna get started by Cut.
Unbreakable is no longer available. Blue team was able to steal that Mountain Drake. That's the special delivery popping in by 6-9. You have Bats being boxed in. He does get taken down. You also have the Gatling Gunner Khan being bursted down by the Shinja, but Shinja being taken down by that Olaf. That is going to be a 2-1 in favor of Cut Esports still. But Sunlight, hello, you got to steal the Dragon. That is a Mountain Drake, so you have more shields for yourselves. Cut Esports now will just focus on the objective game. Taking out turrets. Rift Herald has been someone at the mid lane. Lido at the front line. That is gonna be Heaven jumping in. A flash out from 6-9. Roots are not gonna be enough, even though it did connect. Joe has no other way to disengage. He does not have flash, but he was able to take down Ari first. Jump in, flash in. Brom saying goodbye. Now you have Heaven. That is, you still have the slow rather. Double kill going over to Olaf, and here comes Shinjao. Joe being targeted, but you know what? He is A-okay. Here comes Timo. Gonna jump in, and now Risk just going with the risky plays. Undertow gonna connect onto Maz. Jumping in. The axe is very much sharp at this point on.
Yeah, it is definitely sharp.
Oh no.
The fight's still not over.
Joe! Okay, flash out. He is safe. That was
I know.
Guys. Oh no.
It's crazy because Sunlight wanted Joe's head for the past 3 minutes, and now the Baron is going to be secured by Cut.
beat drops coming in from Joe, but you know who is gonna drop? That is gonna be Xin Zhao, and a unstoppable going over to Olaf because he was able to take down Ari. 2-0 plus a Baron going over to Cut Esports. They're very much comfortable and very much powerful in this game. Leo and Matt still trying to defend this turret, but looks like that turret will no longer be up this point on. You have Heaven coming in with the recalls. Camille just looking at the sides. 6-9 as well as Timo. So they're going to focus on clearing out the wave, but Matt will be able to take out the last minion. Yes, he will.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
They're gonna be focusing on maximizing this Baron buff. They can do this 1-3-1 setup already. No one can exactly deal and see if they can hold down either boss. No, they can't even hold down Risk because he's just gonna activate Ragnarok. He's just gonna run away if things get a little bit too sticky. But he was in the lead. He's in a 2-level lead up against Heaven, so he is in a very comfortable spot to keep going and deal with anyone who comes his way.
That was a bit too risky for that Ari for solo. Charm did connect, but that'll be the flash in coming in from Boss, already targeting one, but looks like he got beaten by 2 by 3 members. He does get bursted down, but that's gonna be the quickness being popped by Yarkani. Shutdown on Camille, even that is gonna be Cut Esports just disengaging 1-1 for the respective team. The beat drop and the high notes from this Seraphine really hurts a lot. Killing Spear going over the 6-9, and you have Heaven alone at top part of their base. You have a fresh wave of minions jumping in, pouring in at the mid lane. There is already a hole in the base of Sunlight. Okay, 2 champions down. Lucian being taken out by Seraphine as he deported belt in, but Solo was not able to secure a kill. Heaven receiving enough damage. That is going to be Elite O at the front line. Grand End is going to connect onto 1, but Heaven being able to disengage. And now you have just the Ragnarok being popped by Olaf. They are just constantly coming in with the pressure, but a lot of minion waves are just staying at the base of Sunlight.
It's just a purely cut game right now that we're seeing. We get to see Sunlight sort of attempting these pickoffs, but Cut is just very, very ahead in this game, and they can potentially even get a big bonus like an Infernal Drake. But let's take a look at the replay here. This was Solo making an attempt. Really nicely done, Charm, but the damage, look at one single sequence from 69 with the burst, with the phosphorus bombs, everything being laid onto Solo, and it's just very, very painful. And it's so deceiving too once you see the low health targets. There are double shields, double heal coming from Rakan, and as well as Joe here on the Seraphine.
Ooh, looks like that Esports will be able to take that Drake. You have the charms connecting, but Boss is pretty much A-okay with taking that much damage. Hookshot connecting onto tactical speed. Let's see the break will pop as well, but you have Timos. He is chasing the backline. Join me. I am charming you, but oh no. You have the bullet coming in from Lucian. That is going to be the special delivery being popped by 6-9. Core keep going in with the targets, but Cut Esports being able to win this series. They're able to win the game number 3. Pretty intense match, as I like to call it.
Yeah, this was the match. It was 3-3 earlier, and this was the deciding end of the air quote tiebreaker that we keep seeing between Cut and as well as Sunlight. But of course, this is just, the upper bracket final. So this is them sending down Sunlight into the lower bracket. And again, there is a possibility that we may see Sunlight perhaps getting that revenge at the grand finals.
It was always a 2-0 between these two teams, but I'm very much happy that we get to witness a game 3. See, that's just that's how you know that the players just keep on improving as the months progress. So to take a look back in at game number 3, here are our highlights.
I started on this dragon fight. It was Wally just wanting to go in and attempt to steal, but it was that secure from Boss. And again, this is a composition that can follow up, that has a lot of dashes, that has a lot of mobility through the walls, but they didn't want to risk it because they actually had an ample amount of vision in the dragon pit, but at the same time, they weren't exactly confident to get into the fight because perhaps it's a dragon pit. They might get greeted by an encore from Joe, and it's just the perfect position for that potential disaster.
Ooh, and look, this was just a very good encore coming in from Joe. I said this earlier, but the beat drop, high notes, it makes you say ouch. Also, the Gatling gun coming from Corky just dished out an obnoxious amount of damage. The way Boss would respond to his team as well came to a point that Sunlight, they really struggle. And the fact that Boss is a-okay with tanking so much damage, like he was just at the front line, they forgot there's also an Olaf. Like the moment he jumps in at the fight, it's just a oh no moment for Sunlight.
I know, it is a big oh no for sure once they see the Righteous Glory and everything else. They wanted to get the charms. They wanted to get the hits. They wanted to get the picks because at that point, that was their only option. But again, HP bars can be deceiving with a Rakan and a Seraphine on the opposite side with a bunch of heals and a bunch of shields just to bait you to go all in.
Also, I was curious. I did not see much anti-heals up against an Olaf, so maybe that's one of the factors that made Sunlight lose the game number 3. But yeah, that is just Cut Esports performing so well. They are just playing in their element, and I cannot wait to see more. But yeah, any final thoughts for that series number 1?
I'm just excited for another rematch if they do meet in the grand finals. That's all I'm gonna say.
Right, same here actually. But yeah, we have been your casters. I'm Yuko alongside me is Riku. Do not forget to follow us on our socials if you enjoyed our casting. But for now, we're gonna hop into a very short break.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Wild Rift Origin Series, and we're moving over to Group B, and we're changing casters as well. Let's talk about the teams first, though. Unicorns of Love, obviously the winners of the June finals, up against Na'Vi. Natas Vincent, Emily DMS Smith, and joining me is Scoundrel. How you doing, buddy? It's been a while since we've worked together.
Have we cast together? Have we cast together?
I don't know if we ever cast together.
We've ever actually cast together. We've been on the same show.
Yeah,
we've been on the same show, but I don't think we've ever actually cast together. So, given that those who don't know, D-Man's 70,000 years old, and he was my idol growing up when I was casting. It's it's a nice little thing. Yeah, Unicorns of Love versus Na'Vi, a very interesting matchup. Unicorns of Love, I think, were not the completely unexpected winners of the June finals, but they were definitely the team that people were expecting to take second place. Like they were expected to be the runners-up, I think, going up against Nova at the time. But now, with that win, they look pretty good, right?
And for Na'Vi, obviously coming into this one, they kind of stole some of the players, haven't they? They've basically said, all right, June, that didn't work. We kind of went out early. Dump 3 players out, bring 3 new ones in, which I think 2 are from Nova, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think the Na'Vi roster was a little lackluster. I think from talking to teams who do a lot of European-wide scrims, Na'Vi was definitely down the list in terms of, where people, the June iteration of it anyway, of what people kind of thought was a relative strength. I think now they've got a refreshed roster. Like you said, they brought some new talent in, poached a few talent pieces. I mean, not in that sense, but what I mean. They brought a couple of talent pieces in that I think actually have made this a pretty well-rounded roster. It's just to be whether they can take on Unicorns of Love, who I think are the team to beat in this group.
Yeah, I mean, when you're Na'Vi, born to win is literally the name of the team. They can afford to take away a few players from here, there, and everywhere. They're the team that's been around for a long time. Let's get into the pick and bans. They are ready to go. This match is absolutely going to be a hot one. It may well be a potential final. Who knows? Winner bracket finals right now is where we're at. And they're going to be a little bit slower from the start of the bans. There we go, Seraphine. Okay, keeping it quiet on the Rift. I'm happy with that.
Yes, Seraphine, the most annoying champion in the League of Legends universe, but I'm glad they're taking her away because she's pretty obnoxious in terms of what she provides in both bot lane. You can play her as an AD in the AD carry role. You can flex her to mid. You can flex her to support. A lot of teams hate playing against the Seraphine Lux or the Seraphine Sona combos, so getting rid of Seraphine in its entirety makes a lot of sense. Senna is forgive my French, downright busted. I was about to say something worse than that. Downright busted, honestly. The Soul Generation from Senna in Wild Rift is, if you're playing the proper fasting Senna variant, the Soul Generation for Senna in this game is nutty. You can become super strong very quickly. So I think a lot of teams are not too happy seeing that in competitive. So that's a good thing to see her banned. Wukong, the most competitively picked jungler. Ziggs, absolutely ridiculous. Xin Zhao flavor of the month, and then Olaf coming through as well, a pick specifically against Na'Vi as well.
Yeah, I'm surprised with the Senna ban though, because as far as I know, we haven't seen it sort of played yet. Obviously, it has come through new. Definitely a lot of Lucian. Lucian now on the table. So the Gragas pick, not surprised, was the most picked champion throughout the June Cup across all regions. So not a big surprise there. But the Galio and Camille being locked in.
Galio Camille combo, it's disgusting actually. If you can throw Hextech Ultimatum down into Hero's Entrance, it's unavoidable Galio knockup, which is very difficult for like one single target that gets locked through with the Hextech Ultimatum. However, Gragas is a good pick into Camille. You can knock Camille out of her own Hextech Ultimatum, you can cancel her ultimate, and that makes that combo a little harder to pull off more consistently. So it's a good first pick, but as you said, one of the most common pickups because of how flexible that pick is. He's generally good everywhere. Mostly played in Baron lane, but with the Renekton lock-in, you think there's some flexibility now. Na'Vi could throw Renekton mid, we could see Renekton Baron lane. There is still that openness to this draft.
And the Kaiser coming in was the highest win rate AD carry in June. But obviously now we've got the introduction of Lucian coming through. By the way, Jarvan the Fourth, disastrous. I think like 26% win rate. It was horrific and paid like 20 plus times. So it was not a good win rate. Nami coming in to back it up. So they've got a lot of disengage there with the wave, with the explosive cask. But for Unicorns of Love, they want to get in your face. Yeah, Carly, the final pick.
Yeah, my worry here for Na'Vi is a lot of the eggs lie in the Kai'Sa basket. Yeah, okay, Renekton and Gragas, they can all have pretty strong mid games, but you let this game scale out, you're basically playing protect Kai'Sa at every given opportunity. And protecting Kai'Sa versus Camille, Akali, Braum, with the aggressiveness of that kind of support, the Galio lock-in, the amount of CC you've got to deal with, I think it's going to be a difficult path to walk for Na'Vi. However, I think they can take control of that mid game. They've got a very strong mid game. That's where I'm looking to see them do well.
Well, Kieran, the one thing I've learned over the years casting CIS teams is they're not afraid to fight. We've talked about the aggression of Chinese teams, the Russian teams, the Ukrainians. They have shown just as much aggression. I expect this one to be a bit of a banger.
Yeah, it was in Group B last time. It is just a slaughterhouse of kills, left, right, and center. But that favors a Renekton team. Like, if you can get that rolling earlier, like sooner rather than later, it does favor a Renekton Gragas style team. Jarvan can be useful in that scenario. The problem that you're going to have is if you let it go too late, and that's why I think Na'Vi are going to want to brawl. They're going to want to bring it down into the dirt.
Well, let's see what happens, ladies and gentlemen. The game's ready to go. Let's get it on your screens. Game 1. Here we go.
I guess that's anticlimactically. They got stuck in base as you were hyping them
We're
up.
stuck in the fountain, damn it!
just stuck running at the invisible wall in the fountain. Okay, so it is going to be Renekton into Akali. That's a good matchup for Renekton mostly. Akali's a little more obnoxious. Some PC people would be looking at this thing as an easy matchup for Renekton, but Akali's a little more obnoxious in Wild Rift than she is in PC. But overall, a relatively okay matchup for the Renekton. This is what you see a lot of the time, by the way. You see some people group up mid to get automatic priority on the mid lane tier 1, and you'll see a lot of deep vision and scryer blooms taken just to get some good information onto where the Jarvan is. And you don't really lose anything for it either, because Lucian's going to soak up all that solo experience anyway on the bottom side of the map. So the reason we saw that was just to allow some deep vision to come down. You can now see some vision at the Raptors, at the blue. They will know where Jarvan is for the first 3 minutes of this game, and they should have good information about where he's looking to gank as well.
Bit of aggression in the mid lane as well, judging by the mini-map sort of poking back and forward. And yes, absolutely it is. This is going to be first blood going down. No, the ignite!
Oh.
I will say he expertly judged it. That's what I'm going to say.
Calculated, mate. Calculated every step of the way. It is a matchup that can be difficult. If you're maxing Drunken Rage, which is the ability that you just obviously saw channeled there by Don. If you're maxing Drunken Rage, then it can be a difficult matchup for the Galio. Even though Galio is supposed to be good into AP damage dealers, it can be a relatively hard matchup to get right. He does have his flash available. spidey senses and wards were tingling, and he knew where Vex was, and that's where the credit of that, the credit of that early information. They know exactly where Vex is. They're not getting caught out by these early ganks. And one of the benefits of Jarvan, as you'll know from years and years of league experience, is that he's a good early ganker. One of the benefits of him is that he can just walk into a lane, EQ combo, and at least burn a flash most of the time.
And that combo gets even easier on mobile, I can tell you that. I've been there, done that myself. It's funny you mentioned Akali at the start, where I was talking about it with Max yesterday. Obviously, we're talking about the many iterations that Akali has gone through, from we need to nerf her again, we need to nerf her again, over and over again, over on the PC, of course. A very different form, but it's certainly a very strong one. Coldstar, definitely a veteran of the scene as well, playing that champion.
Yeah, he's a great player. Was one of the standout players of Unicorns of Love in the previous finals, and I think giving him that kind of mantle, because as this game goes on, it will be up to him to threaten Hydro. He will be the main threat for Hydro in these team fights. You kind of put the Camille and the Galio aside. Obviously, they're going to be scary. His main job is, like, if I trade 1-for-1 with Hydro in a late game team fight, I've won it for my team. So that's what he's going to be looking to do. And that's why a little bit of mantle of responsibility now lying on Coldstar's shoulders this game. But he stepped up massively in the previous finals. And I think he was on Garen duty on the previous finals. But Garen obviously no longer anywhere near as strong as he used to be. And so I'm glad to see him take a bit more of a kind of proactive, maybe more mechanically intensive role than he had previously.
It's definitely going to be tough for him, though, to get to Hydra. There's a lot of protection there. Obviously, you've got the bubble and the wave coming out from the support in itself, but then you've got the explosive cast. You've got Vex that's maybe just going to try and pounce on you. You've got the big stuns coming out from the Renekton if he's going to be protecting. It's a case of whether they go with the full protect the AD carry with Hydro in there, or whether they go for it. Well, they're going to try and go for it right here. The Hextech ultimatum will come through. They just try and lock him out there, but quick turnaround. Zack's going to be the focus now. You can see Zack just on the back line, going to get caught out. The Lucian, is he going to get caught out? The body block comes out, but he will go down. The first blood in the end goes to Na'Vi.
Just as you praise the Nami, a triple bubble gets landed, and that shuts the play down instantaneously. I cannot tell you how rare it is to see that kind of number of people locked up in a Nami bubble, but all credit to Dante. He completely turned that gank around by himself, and Vex in the right place at the right time. Now, resets have come through. Are getting a replay. Let's take a look back here. Watch this bubble. Watch this bubble. Oh my God. I don't need to analyze it any further than that, mate. That is what's turned this play around. And obviously we're running Font of Life Nami, so you hit a big wave.
They're in the pit. They're in the pit. Let's get straight into the game because I can see them diving in there. They go for the first dragon down. Vex is taken very low. Coldstar getting in and getting out, but can he manage to escape here? I think he's in all sorts of trouble. They're going to catch on towards the support once again. The bubble comes through. That catches once again. And Na'Vi benefiting massively. A 3-for-1 exchange this time out. Coldstar should be able to escape there.
Yeah, they did lose the Infernal Dragon, though. So losing the Infernal Dragon, some would kind of make a wager about whether that's worth or not, but I love what I'm seeing from Na'Vi right now. Immediately collapsing to the bot lane tier 1, throwing everything at it to ensure they get first tower of the game. And we talked about this, but in Champions Select League, we talked about it. We said, we want to see a strong mid game from Na'Vi. You don't want to let this run late where there are going to be a lot of threats to the Kai'Sa and you might struggle to have the legs in the late game team fights. Like, get down and dirty, brawl early. We'll take a look back at that replay. Looks like they secured it, obviously. That was the big play for Unicorns of Love. I think really coming into an Infernal Dragon fight, that's what you're expecting. At the end of the day, though, they'd already taken a lot of damage. They got caught out by, a lot of AoE skills. They were just grouped up in the pit versus a very heavy AoE team. Not much more to say about it than that. But realistically, they came away with the Dragon, which I'm sure they'll be happy with. But Na'Vi, they've got a gold lead. They are working that mid game. That's what we wanted to see from them.
A good focus, obviously, from Coldstar. He focused on taking down the jungler, so that Smite wasn't available to secure that dragon early on. Rift Herald coming up in just a couple of seconds. We'll see, obviously, Unicorns of Love spending the cash they have. That's what I love to see. There's nothing more criminal than people being in lane, sitting on stacks of gold, because it does not equate to items in that fight. Coldstar just sitting, waiting, actually. He's getting engaged upon up in the river. Something's happening up there. You can see Vex is going to get caught out. Maybe trying to focus onto the Dawn, try and get that lockup. There's that Hextech ultimatum. This time, there's no escape mechanism. A great knock-up in the end. You talked about that hero's entrance working wonders. and that's exactly how it worked. Meanwhile, back further down the river, Zach's in trouble. He can't escape that. He will get picked off, and now this is completely turning in the favor of Na'Vi. Unicorns of Love had this locked up. Why did they get involved in the river?
I don't know. I think they thought that strong Lucian Braum combo was enough to go for a small skirmish, but in the meantime, they committed so many of their vital teamfight resources to the top lane. And then all it took was Valhalla to walk in with Renekton, Dominus activated, nothing you can do there. And the one worry that I have for Unicorns of Love right now is there is a lot of gold on Hydro. He's the man to watch. Big engage coming through.
Well, the Rift Herald's down, and they want to defend it heavily, so... aggressive stuff. We said this from the off. You know, keep your eyes on the screen. This is going to be an absolute barnstormer. And sure enough, a massive lead already, though. You know, almost a 6k goal lead, 5.6 overall gold lead for Na'Vi. Just 7 minutes in. This is a big start. Unicorns alone have got to do a lot to respond to this, and they're doing just that. They catch out once again the Gragas. The Don goes down.
Yeah, Don goes down here. Obviously, he's fish bait, though. We want the shark. That's Hydro. Hydro's got a huge amount of gold on him right now. He probably has a massive bounty sitting on his head as well. That'll be something that you'll be wanting to collect. And with this kind of gold lead that they've worked up, around 5,000 gold, we've got the second dragon fight coming through, and it will be the mountain. You're going to want to see Na'Vi try and go for this fight. Like, anytime they can take a fight, that's what they're looking for. And let's take a look back at this. This was that 2v2 that we just missed in the river, as you can see. Yeah, I think just outplay from Hydro, honestly. He dodged out the Braum ultimate, flashes over the wall to secure the Lucian, and as we said, the rest of the team had committed too many resources. They went for a 2v2. They lost that strict 2v2 just in the fact that Hydro was able to outplay, and as soon as Valhalla joined the fight, there was nothing you could do. Couldn't turn it back around.
Yeah, Nami too strong is the word I'm hearing from that. So overall,
Nami has her place. I think she's a good support. She's a great laning phase support, but there are better enchanters if you're trying to play pure enchanter. Love this from Valhalla. Didn't even bother trying to escape. He knew he was down. You trade your life for a tower every day of the week, and your team cross-mapped for the dragon. Great stuff from Na'Vi. Just a bit depends whether Unicorns of Love can try and punish them. Looks like they're trying to go for their own tower on the top side of the map, but at the end of the day, that's their first tier 1. I don't think Na'Vi are losing any sleep about it.
Definitely a stronger Na'Vi coming out, and, you know, got to mention to Kalisto, because obviously we've seen that Hextech come through, and I'm going to go straight back to that. The bubble comes through, doesn't catch anyone this time around, and that could turn in the favor of Unicorns of Love. The problem is that the Braum is kind of going in on his own. The rest of the team not on the same page. They will back away. Zach tries to come in, but the disengage is called Unicorns of Love, but Hydro goes in! That is a ballsy AD carry move if ever I saw it. Is it going to backfire? Yes, it is. That didn't work out well in their favor, but this fight is going to go on and on. Valhalla goes in, gets one, gets two, surely. Should be able to get Kalisto down. Kalisto in the end will skip away from this one. Turn your attention back on the pit. Zach is in there, the AD carry flashes in, but only goes straight in towards Dante. Dante, the support, doesn't have a great deal of damage, but may have enough to finish this one off. No, he gets taken down. Codstar comes back and gets Valhalla. By word, that was an extended fight. I don't really know who came out on top of the Unicorns of Love.
Unicorns of Love absolutely came out on top here. I've got to be a little careful here. Snella's going to get away. But why? Why did Na'Vi opt into a 4v5? They knew it was a 4v5.
Hydro just went in.
But like, they knew it was a 4v5. They opted into it. The Valhalla was dead. Why did they opt into a 4v5? Like, end of the day, like, I think your team fight revolves around having that beefier front line that you need to play around, right? You need to play around the Renekton. You need to play around the Jarvan. When Renekton is dead, you can't just randomly walk in and expect to come out on top. Got to be honest, though, Bistara, one of the things that there's been a lot of discussion about across the league in general is how Braum is a pretty solid answer into Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa is very, sounds weird to describe, but she's very projectile driven. So if you watch it here, if Bistara just look at this shield, blocks every single one of those Acathian missiles. Nothing that and just zones him out. Yeah, literally, the wave doesn't get blocked. The wave was good, but Bistara just by himself zones out Hydro for the majority of that fight, and that's why people consider Braum a pretty solid answer into Kai'Sa, because you can just stick your shield up and walk towards her. At the end of the day, a bit tit for tat at the end here. That people are just trying to escape where they can. But sorry, excuse me. But unfortunately, they played the 4v5 and don't really know what we want to say about it.
We're going again, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, let's see. That's going to be quickly engaged upon, but Kalisto this time kind of went too deep on the tower. And of course, Na'Vi were there in numbers. Renekton goes in. That is a big B for Renekton. Look at the back line. Hydro's gone deep on that one. I didn't actually see where it's gone. They're going, the moment Cold starts trying to back away from the Dom, but the Kalisto is there. So Hydro went very, very deep and made it work.
I think he knew he could get away from it, though. He was separating out the team. Like, he went for that ultimate to try and draw the team apart. As you said, Kalisto overextended, way too aggressive onto that tower. That mid lane tier 1 being up for Unicorns of Love is a massive issue. And Na'Vi now, they're going for the Baron here. Thought it was going to get stolen. I was just holding my breath because, again, very risky to go for Baron when you don't have a massive advantage on the map, but they made it work. Let's take a look at this again. Kalisto, yeah, way too aggressive under the tower. Just takes like chains CC'd in the own Hextech ultimatum. Not really sure. Valhalla TP's back in here. Pops that Dominus straight onto the front line. Has that Sterex Gauge, who is really beefy. And then they just split the team up. That was
they're going again. They're going
again.
Gosh,
they're going again. Bloody hell.
We can't even get a replay going here because they're just fighting non-stop. I didn't even see what happened. They're disengaged. No one going down. Just going back to that replay. Kalisto did go deep, but it was a great explosive cast coming out from the Dom, which actually stopped the rest of Unicorns of Love getting in the fight. So it made it look worse than it was in terms of going in a wee too deep. But anyway,
I think you're giving Kalisto too much credit. He was on the tower, to be fair. then he just got chain CC'd by Jarvan. But I agree, like, you know, that's supposed to be how this comp's played, right? It's supposed to be played aggressively. But as you said, the explosive cast stopped the good hero's entrance on top of it, stopped the follow-up. Na'Vi have to be a little careful here. It might be overextending a little bit.
Vex is caught out. That's the jungler down. That is a problem. Coming in, obviously, with the Drake now up. Don't forget about that Baron that will be up shortly as well. But at the moment, the buff is on Na'Vi. The Don is going to be looking towards that. In we go. Going to get the Hextech ultimatum. Hydra is going to get caught out. The exact target they wanted. AD carry picked off and down. The Dante doing what he can to escape from this one. But that's going to be a dragon going Unicorns of Love way.
Yeah, but they will be trading it for maybe top lane inhibitor tower. You can see Valhalla has that minion wave looking to bounce forward. I don't know if Galio is enough to stop this, but Valhalla realizes probably has more than that coming his way. That combo right there, D-Man, that combo right there, we talked about it at the start. Hextech ultimatum into Hero's entrance, and because we'd already seen the flash burn from Hydra, he burnt it earlier to escape from the blue side jungle, it's difficult. Very difficult to escape. Let's watch this back. Again, mistake by Vex, gets caught out, blown up very quickly by Cold Star. There's the flash from Hydro. Hydro now uses this opportunity to try and escape, obviously being chased heavily by Unicorns of Love. Waiting for that hookshot engage, comes through from the Camille, and this is the combo. Hextech ultimatum, Hero's entrance. Nothing you can do as Hydra in that situation, and that's the combo you've got to be scared of as this game progresses. This is why I said that mid-game had to be strong from Na'Vi, because you get later and later, that combo is going to make your life a living hell.
We should give some credit to Bistara, of course, on the Braum. He started it all off, really, and that's really kind of brought Unicorns of Love back into the game. You know, they were in danger of slipping out. They're up against a Baron up Na'Vi, who are really starting to turn things around in their favor. But now, in terms of kills, very much their way. Just a couple of towers they've got to get down at the moment. There's gold out there to be had, and Valhalla, well, I don't think that tower's going to save you against a four-man dive, my friend. Down he will go! Ooh. Okay. Do not discount the tankiness of a beefed up Renekton, and it may cost them the mid tower.
Yeah, they look like they're pushing in for that mid lane tier 2. That was a really good outplay from Valhalla. Used everything to survive, but as you said, buys a tower. It's tower for tower overall. You trade tier 1 in the bot for tier 2 in the mid, but it is still a massive tower advantage to Na'Vi. Now they're playing what we call the Fnatic Death Brush. They're waiting for someone to just face check them. The sweeper over the wall will see exactly where they are, but there's Kalisto caught out.
Well, they want to go for the jungle. They want to try and get him away, but that's the problem when it's Kalisto in the jungle. Turns it back around, and look at Zac at the back there with the culling, getting absolutely everything down. There's nothing Na'Vi can do about this one. They have gone for the jungler and been found wanting, and Unicorns of Love will decimate Na'Vi, and they can take the game right here.
They're going straight down mid. They just hesitated. You could see it. They knew they were being swept, and they did not commit to it early enough, and Kalisto is slippery. Camille is a slippery target. She can dodge with Hextech ultimatum, and honestly, just brilliant play from Unicorns of Love. We talked about it. If it went too late, if they gave too much space to Unicorns of Love, they'd find a way back into it, and they did.
Well, we knew it was going to be an explosive game, and I don't even think we had enough time to get the replays in there. There was that much action happening. But Unicorns of Love, I gotta be honest, I thought Na'Vi had that.
Same.
Up until that one moment, they were barrened up. They got a little greedy. I understood what they were doing. They wanted to spread. They want to get all 3 lanes barrened up and try and push in and just go for the grind. But they just got caught out, and it slipped away from them from there.
Yeah, honestly, I think unfortunately the 4v5 was where it really kind of went wrong. If I'm honest with you, the 4v5 is where it really went wrong. And I think if you're doing that when you're that far ahead, you're throwing away a massive advantage. And Unicorns of Love were able to so nicely micro in and out of that fight, and that gave them some space. They gave them some breathing room, and eventually, I actually think compositionally they had the trumps over Na'Vi when it came to later game teamfights. And that last teamfight that we saw where Kai'Sa gets caught out was exactly what happened.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, magnificent fight overall. Which fight do you look at? That's the big question. Like, where do you go? Because there were so many fights that happened throughout that game that could have tilted it. You think back to the triple bubble in the lane phase, the very first start. That stopped a kill. That was 100% a kill. Triple bubble comes through, absolutely works wonders. Then we carry on through. Okay. What we got?
I've got a clip I'm going to show you. It's actually that last team fight, and I think whilst it wasn't the most influential, I kind of want to talk about it because it will highlight things in a bit more detail here. So this was about, I would say this here was that's a horrible color. Give me a second, guys. That's a horrible color.
You need a thicker pen as well.
I need a thicker pen. Wait. We're on it. We're on it.
The
Here
biggest problem
there we go.
It's Camille they go for, and Camille can bounce, especially in the jungle, can bounce everywhere.
But also Camille had been sweeping them for around 5 seconds before that, so they knew they were found out, right? And I think they had the idea that Camille was on the other side of the wall, but they delayed the commit, and that allowed Coldstar and Bastara to get back into the fight. Like if this had been done 2 or 3 seconds earlier, they may have been able to burst Kai'Sa out earlier. So let's play the clip, right? Kai'Sa, as you said, caught out, has that Sterex, able to flash out, and Hero's entrance on Camille's original position. Like, if Na'Vi want to commit to this fight, they have to commit through this. They have to commit through this ultimate. There's nothing they can do. If they want to go for the game-deciding fight here, they have to play on top of the Hero's entrance. And because they flashed over this wall, they can't get out of it either. They committed so hard, they didn't really think about some of these teamfight things that came into play. So watch this. Locked up. That is a 3-man Hero's entrance.
Look at Zach.
Exactly. Look at Zach caught out. Massive taunt, by the way, from Snelland. He absolutely played this perfectly. And then Don, just pretty useless in this fight too. Honestly, it was just the fact that they committed over the wall, and Hero's entrance forced them all into this very precarious spot. There were no flashes left to get out of it, and Snelland played a blinder. 3 knock-up into multi-man taunt, and once that happens in a team fight, there's no coming back.
I think they were just so confident that they could back it up with the wave and sort of flow through and push, and they thought they got this great catch. And I could see it playing out, and probably they're going to look back at it themselves and thinking, how the hell did we go so wrong there? But as you mentioned, that Hero's entrance was absolutely bob on. They didn't get anywhere near the carries. They went for the jungler. Understandably, they wanted to get the jungler. Baron was spawning. Get the jungler, Baron. Thank you. Finish the game. That was their plan. That was their thinking. It just backfired so badly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like I said, they knew Kai'Sa was there, but they hesitated. And once they committed, the rest of Unicorns of Love were there to back them up. And as we said, because the mechanics of that area of the map where you have to get across that wall, and it's a big C shape like this, like you have to either walk around it or flash over it. And you flash over it, you flash straight into Galio, and the Galio was the difference maker in that fight. Couldn't have played a better team fight for Galio in the late game. If you hit that many bits of chain CC, your team ain't surviving.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it was a fantastic first game. Let's see what game 2 has to offer. If you just joined us, here's the rosters. It is Unicorns of Love versus Na'Vi, Coldstar, Kai'Sa, Sneeland, Zach, and Bistara versus Valhalla, Vex, the Don, Hydro, and Dante. A new revitalized Na'Vi up against it, 1-0 down in the winner bracket finals here in Group B, covering the CIS region. I'm Lee Demon Smith. Joining me is Scoundrel for this. A fantastic first game. Let's talk bans though. Let's get pick and bans ready to go because we want to see what they're going to bring onto the table. Do they get rid of that Galio to start with?
I mean, yeah, Galio's an interesting one. Like, he when he's behind, he sucks, right? Because when you hear his entrance and you're behind, like it just you're like paper. You dive in, you just die.
I'm coming.
Yeah, exactly. I'm coming, and it just dies. But yeah, no, I think it's one of those things that. I don't know if Galio was the problem. I think it was the fact that they squandered their mid game. And I think if you're Na'Vi in this situation, you reflect back, you're like, we probably could have won, but we threw. So it's probably not so much about Unicorns of Love. It's more about the way that Na'Vi play their own game. So as I say, I'm not expecting to see massive shifts up. The Olaf ban, by the way, is a specific target towards Vex. Vex is probably the best Olaf in Europe, and so you don't want to let him get his hands on that. Vex is a very talented jungler. As you said, they poached is the wrong word because they make it sound like it was illegal. They picked a few players from Nova, and Vex and Hydro were two very talented players from that roster, so bringing them over was obviously a great decision for the team overall for Na'Vi. But bans across the board remain similar, but the Gragas is taken away here. Safe first pick, obviously, but it is going to be a Camille priority. So a Camille priority, that to me now makes it more likely that Na'Vi want to deny the Galio, because that is the combo that you're a little bit more worried about. So that would be my thoughts here.
So Kalisto making sure he gets that Camille, obviously feels very confident on it. You know, Kalisto was a big part of why Unicorns of Love won in the first June finals, but the Wukong was allowed through, and we're going to see it going in the jungle this time out.
Yeah, it's one of the most popular competitive junglers in Wild Rift, especially in Europe, mainly because Double Cyclone, it's so impactful and very teamfight orientated game. Like Wild Rift is much more teamfight heavy than League of Legends PC version. So anything that's like able to get into teamfights and impact them quickly, that's what Wukong does. Especially as well, you know, level 5 for ultimate, it's much easier to hit your ultimate, and Wukong is not a champion before his ultimate in most circumstances. So like, you know, this is a big teamfight comp that's being built up by Na'Vi, though. Bloody hell. Diana on top of Renekton, on top of Wukong and Corki. That is a wombo. That is a big wombo combo teamfight with a lot of scaling elements too.
Yeah, we saw very strong Diana, and the problem is with Diana, it can get on Lucian very easily. So the Nami being locked in there with the Akali, a very similar comp coming out from Unicorns of Love this time around, just stealing away that Nami. And this time the Lulu coming in. Okay, so this is obviously we can see what this is all about. Either get that big Renekton, beefy Renekton, or go for the double knock-up on the Wukong.
Yeah, well, exactly. You called it perfectly. The Wukong Lulu combo is very popular. And as you said, anybody that's there providing a huge amount of CC, like you Cyclone, you Lulu ultimate the Wukong, you Cyclone again, that's triple knock-up in a team fight. It's very difficult to deal with. Then you have Diana's ultimate, the Moonfall that pulls everybody in. Like, it is a chain CC train that is pretty disgusting. And also Lulu has the flexibility to apply that knock-up to anybody, right? So it just depends on who's the right place at the right time. Similar stuff from Unicorns of Love. What strikes me as weird is that they went for the Nami over the Braum. I actually think Braum is a fine addition to this comp. He's very disengage heavy. He protects from a lot of the incoming damage that the Na'Vi have got. So I'm wondering what the Nami pick was for, because I actually think Braum facilitated this comp better this time round. But, you know, I guess for the most part, Unicorns of Love is ain't broke, don't fix it. Just run that same combo again. We know that our team fighting's good. They were gifted a little bit of a good team fight from Na'Vi last time round, but we'll see if they can make it work again.
Yeah, Bistrada certainly did a very good Braum last time around, but obviously choosing to go with the Nami, seeing whether with that wave disengage, which could help obviously when you have the Wukong Cyclone coming in there, so maybe they've done it specifically. Let's get the game ready to go, ladies and gentlemen, as we move into game 2.
Oh, they did it again, D-Man. The anticlimactic jump into game and stuck at the base.
They do it on purpose. They just troll me. Okay, so let's see. I mean, I don't think anybody wants to go for a very early team fight this time around. Certainly when you're running into potential bubbles, you don't want to have that, and anything else. So it is going to be a pretty standard setup. Everybody get the ward coverage down, and all right, just put the ward right in front of him. That's a bit lazy.
Yeah, I think realistic, again, you've seen this from Unicorns of Love, that they're just doing the same thing again. Get priority mid lane wave, get in, find some, push some vision into the enemy jungle, get some good ideas about where Wukong is. You can see Snellen just goes and pops that Scryer's Bloom, so they know that Wukong's on that top side of the map starting red. Was relatively obvious anyway, most Wukongs do, but love that. I love that. You don't see many teams actually commit that much, and you saw that Coldstar didn't even lose any experience, which is pretty huge, and gained a load of experience in the mid lane wave too, which allowed him to hit that level 2 relatively quickly. But you're right. You did mention no team fighting. This will be a first Dragon team fight for Na'Vi if they want to go for it. They don't really want a team fight before that. They really need to have all of their ultimates unlocked to make this comp work. So it could be a first Dragon team fight if Na'Vi want to go for that. And whereas Unicorns of Love, a little bit harder to execute their team fight. You know, it's similar to the way before. They have to have a target. They need to pick it down and lock it down with the Camille and the Galio. And I don't know. To be honest, Demon, I'm struggling to think that the best targets. Obviously, Corki stands out, but Diana's a threat. Wukong can remain a threat. I'm not sure there's an easy just, ult this target and win, compared to last game.
Well, the pressure early on, it's definitely going to be tough for Galio. I was going to be sucking down those honey fruits, making sure, because obviously Diana's going to be a tough lane for him. You can see Wukong just dangling around there. Vex taking himself the Scuttle Crab is close enough, and we'll see whether any of those early ganks come in. If you think of Kalisto in the first game, wasn't that active in terms of ganking, was more about farming. This time around, though, I am seeing him setting up down the bottom lane.
Oh, straight in. That's a very big gank, very early gank as well. That's first blood going over to Lucian.
A very Jeremy Clarkson type dive there from you there, Scoundrel. Oh, straight in. I love it.
It was just impressive. Oh my, we got more. No, I'm not going to Jeremy Clarkson this, mate. I'll let you have it.
Yeah, the Dom's going to be the focus target, but Diana is going to be tricky. Look how low Hydro is on the top bottom there, though. So a very much split fight overall, but ooh, get used to that.
It was just surprising. I wasn't expecting a level 3 tower dive from a Camille. Like, you generally don't see Camille go for tower dives until level 5 because the ultimate's so important for like resetting tower aggro and stuff. But I guess you've got such priority as a Lucian Nami lane that they just found a good opportunity. They unfortunately kind of threw it back towards Na'Vi though, because Kalista went for the replay tower dive and died to Hydro. Ooh, look at that! Look at nice flash from Lulu to get out of the bubble there. If the bubble had landed, this would have been much cleaner overall. And this is the re-engage. You can see on the sidelines, Kalisto was looking for the engage onto Corki, got a little bit outplayed onto tower, which ended up giving up 1-for-1 overall. But it could have been worse. I mean, I think Unicorns Love still come out with a minor gold lead at this point in time. They've already crushed a couple of minion waves into that tower, so denying some experience, at least from Dante for the time being. They'll be okay with that.
Yeah, a lot of flashes burnt as well, but they should be back up in time for the Dragon, so nothing really too lost other than just a simple trade back and forward. Small gold lead for the Unicorns of Love. Going back towards that Diana, you can see he's continuing his aggression in the mid lane while Coldstar continues to force Valhalla back here. And this is really how Renekton works, I'm afraid, in lane. You do have to just be very passive early on, unless you're very confident in your lane setup.
Yeah, I mean, Renekton's not really someone that you can take down in lane easily, as you mentioned. He's got so much inbuilt sustain into his kit. I think also he's not an easy tower diver as well. He's got a huge single target stun. He's got his ultimate, which just gives him a burst of HP and extra rage generation. So Coldstar's got to wait for his opportunity to kind of get ahead, and that'll probably come through either a dragon tower fight or maybe a smaller skirmish on the top side of the map. Doesn't look like we have a big setup for that first dragon of the game, though. Yeah, they're trading top lane tier 1 for that dragon. You can see Kalisto's here, and I actually quite like that, honestly, Demon. I actually do like that. I think Cloud Dragon, although it is considered one of the highest win rate dragons in the game, there is some debate as to whether that's because the dragon is good or because people tend to go for it when they're already so far ahead regardless, right? So, and I also like the fact that they're playing away from the team fight. We talked about the fact that Na'Vi wanted the team fight. Maybe talk about that in just a moment, though. Where was that culling going, mate?
I was just wondering who we were busy culling. So I was looking at the river. I was like, there's somebody I don't see. I was like, what am I looking at? I can't see it off screen. No, just absolutely off there. I mean, yeah, go back to the Cloud Drake. It does just give you that bonus movement speed. So I guess if your position is right, and it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I think it's about map rotations. Like, people kind of value it for map rotations, right? Where you can like get across the map that much more quickly, but there was a Riot dev who no longer works for the Wild Rift team. He moves over to another company, but he tweeted out saying actually Cloud Drake and Infernal Drake at the time were the 2 highest win rate dragons in the game. But like I still say, is that because Cloud Drake's good, or is that because people think Cloud Drake's so bad that they only tend to go for it when they're so far ahead, regardless? Right?
Yeah,
so it's a bit of a conflating stat to kind of understand. But I like what Unicorns of Love did there. We didn't really get onto the point because the culling went into the middle of the river. But I like the fact that they understood that the dragon team fight is very strong from Na'Vi, and they said, well, we don't want any part of that. Let's just try and cross map it. We don't really care about Cloud Drake that much. And now they're going for the smaller skirmishes.
Yeah, just forcing the flash out once again from the Dom there. So just being aggressive, getting good wall coverage as well as they try and do this. So it's something they're going to have to try and focus on. Yeah, I mean, we're talking about misleading stats. We all mentioned this yesterday with Max because I was talking about the Xin Sao. Obviously, how it had, I think it was 87% win rate in the June finals. But to quantify that, 10 of those games was played by Doom from formerly Tribe Gaming. So, you know, it was a very misleading statistic sometimes. You got to be careful as and when and really try and quantify it. This is going to be a little setup here. I don't think Na'Vi are going to fall for it.
Yeah, Doom, just on the mentioning of Doom, I think he's probably the best jungler in Europe. So I've played solo queue with Doom, and he's played like Master Yi at Challenger level and just crushed everybody. So, you know, if you're playing Master Yi at Challenger and you're crushing everybody, you're usually a pretty good jungler. So I think Doom can technically play whatever he wants and get away with it.
Ooh, starting off the wrist girdle.
You went a bit Jeremy Clarkson there, mate.
Yeah, ooh. I'm going to be starting to farm up next week, don't worry. Unicorns of Love are going to take this. Actually, not even remotely challenged by Na'Vi, and they're not getting anything from it either. That's somewhat surprising. I guess they just felt we didn't have a good enough coverage there, or just didn't have the people in place. Obviously, Valhalla did take the bottom turret, I think, from that one.
Yep, he did, yep.
Yeah, so I guess just simply trading it. Where's that going to be used? I guess for next Dragon.
Yeah, there are two options that you've got, right? You either use it when you get a good push on mid lane to secure your mid lane tier 1, or, as you correctly mentioned, you can use it on the second dragon to create some natural priority in the lane. Like, you just drop that Rift Herald mid, the enemy team has to deal with it, so they move away from the dragon, and then you get the ability to control the dragon area, clear out vision, set up better around that objective. So, yeah, that's why I envision it's going to get used, unless a big opportunity presents itself for Unicorns of Love to just go and, you know, crush that mid lane tier 1 off a single push.
So, small advantage in terms of AD carries. A 500 gold lead for Zach Q. We'll see whether that, you know, does turn into anything. In terms of items, you know, obviously Triforce already complete by Hydro, so he's in a good place in the Corki in itself, and certainly will be one of those players that will be looking to just be off the back, well away from the team with the likes of that tanky front line that he has. Overall, though, a pretty even matchup and a much calmer one, you know, than what we just saw a moment ago in the first match. I think we were already looking at, you know, some crazy plays and pushing the base at 7 minutes.
Oh my god, that was the. I think from the first series, I mean that group in generally tends to be a bit mental. Like every Group C game I've ever watched has just been all guns blazing, like, all the time. Whereas Group C and Group A, they're a bit more macro orientated, right? These guys generally tend to have a game plan when they come in, and they try and stick to it as much as possible. Unicorns of Love game plan. They haven't dropped the Rift Herald on this second dragon here, but we're going to see a teleport coming in.
No, they think they've actually caught them out of position. That's what they're going for. Here comes the Renekton teleports in. Is it going to be enough? The wave comes across. It wasn't a great disengage from the wave overall. Cold Star on the back tries to jump on the back line, but it doesn't really work out. He gets picked now. Hydra has been separated as well. He's going to be able to flash himself out of there. Zach Q finds himself in no man's land. Just a 1-for-1 trade so far, but the important part is it's the jungler down for Na'Vi. So at the moment, Unicorns of Love in a much stronger position. That way,
dragon, Unicorns of Love. Sorry, Lee, but you just said, why are they not? Like, just secure the dragon.
I mean, I've been there myself. Hit the damn tower is all I said before, but hit the damn dragon indeed. As I say, you know, once they took down that jungler, they had to finish the dragon. They finally get it. And it is going to be your Unicorns of Love that come out on top, obviously, with the dragon.
Oh my god, it was like sat there at 1,000
Oh, there
HP.
it is. They finally put it down.
Oh, they finally put it. They was sat there at 1,000 HP, T-Man, and I was like, guys, the enemy jungler is dead. Can you just please get this? My anxiety's going through the roof right now.
Let's take stock. Let's take stock. Okay, Baron up in, 5 seconds. At the moment, pretty even. Well, I mean, gold-wise, kill-wise, tower-wise, everything is there to work on a dragon a piece. This game is very much on the table.
Yeah, absolutely. Still wide open. We've got a lot to play for right now. Again, it's, you know, the finals that we're talking about in Group B. At least the upper bracket finals for the time being. This is the engage again. Cold Star did his job. He took out at least one key member of the enemy team. That's generally what Akali does as the game progresses. She's there to trade 1-for-1 overall. She can get a couple more out of that. We'll get more damage off. That's fantastic. And then we play a little bit of a dance. A dance of please just secure the dragon. But we're back into the game. There wasn't much to talk about from there. We just saw End of the day, they would secure the dragon. And the next one's Infernal, so that might be an important one that Unicorns of Love are going to want to play around. Some key item spikes are here, by the way. Double item spike for Lucian, the Blade of the Rune King, Triforce. Triforce completed for the Camille. We have a Lichbane, a Kali, very early on, single target damage focused. You know that he's mostly interested in just blowing up that one target and then sort of not bothering following that. This is a good time for Unicorns of Love. They've got some good item spikes to work with. You'd want them to try and force the issue somewhere.
Very interesting to see whether they can get caught out here. Good knock-up coming through this time, and it was on Zach Q, the AD carry. Kalisto will commit to this, and he has caught Hydro in that Hextech ultimatum. They should be able to finish him off. It's a big pickup for Unicorns of Love. Now they turn it into a double kill. They've got to get back onto the Dom in the background. That Zach Q is still alive. And they're going to chase him down, and that turns the Baron.
I mean, this is what I love about Unicorns of Love, right? Like, they have this team comp. I mean, I might just hold it for the time being, though. I imagine Valhalla's going to try and look for some kind of hero play, and he does. He goes in.
Going straight in. Is it going to be enough to try and turn it around? Valhalla will get Zach Q down. Is it enough to delay them? I don't think they can take the Baron down now. They're too low on the hit points. They're going to focus on Valhalla instead. Quickly turn on to Dante. Dante got a little too close to that, and the Lilu doesn't have a great deal of hit points. They got the Baron concluded as well. Everything goes Unicorns of Love way.
They're playing it brilliantly, and also if we look back at that team fight at some point, you'll be able to see that the Unicorns of Love, they play a fractured team fight. They intentionally split Na'Vi up. Na'Vi want you to be grouped in a big old 5v5. They want to just slap CC onto as many targets as possible. This was just that fight after that had occurred, unfortunately. So this was what you just saw on your screens a moment ago. Not much to talk about here. Valhalla was just trying to go for the hero play and couldn't quite make it work. But before this, you know, like the Galio Camille dive into the back line. They separate out Na'Vi. Na'Vi can never make their wombo combo work because they're threatened too heavily and their backline is forced to retreat. They can't stick together as a unit because they are too threatened by the Unicorns of Love players. And now Unicorns of Love are starting to strike. Mid lane tier 1 finally drops. They have that Baron pushing in every way, in every lane right now.
This was the exact position Na'Vi were in last game, and they threw it away. They had all three waves. They were pushing in, but they just got caught off. Vex getting caught out a little bit there, but just uses his mirror to get away and get himself safe. But those Baron up lanes are going to put pressure on all three of these tier 2 turrets, and now they're looking to try and make a play. Kalisa comes in instantly. Hydra has to disengage. Another double bubble comes in. They try and turn that around. The culling coming out from Zach there as well, trying to keep the pressure on. Meanwhile, in the top and bottom, or the Dragon and Baron lane, they are also losing the turrets. Coalstar's going to take himself the top turret down on the bottom turret. That's going to be Sneelan taken away. So everything right now benefiting. I know in terms of when we're looking at the LEC, obviously we talk about the Baron play, the gold they just earned. It is stacking up right now.
Yeah, 8k gold lead starting to work its way forward. That is a huge number of towers. And honestly, if you just see this continue from Unicorns of Love, like you continue to play away from team fights, what I love, about it is the fact that they haven't allowed Na'Vi to actually make their comp work. Like they have not allowed Na'Vi to do what their comp is supposed to do at any point. Now this might be an opportunity for Na'Vi because the package is there.
The Cyclone comes in. It does catch three of them off guard, and that's a really good wave coming through as well. But instantly comes the responses. They come diving through. Look at Kalisto diving onto Hydra. Hydra is completely out of the fight. There's no damage coming from that carry. And now the Dom forced to back away, and that was a great separation from Kalisto just to force that carry out of there. Yes, he lives, but he did nothing because he was forced to back out.
Yeah, and again, like not able to make that team fight work. You could see that Na'Vi were desperate. They had that one opportunity to push in, find the Wukong ultimate, and just go for it, but they couldn't make it work. And as you said, Coalstar, Kalisto, so good at just separating these team fights out and making it so that Na'Vi can't press their buttons at the same time. And that's the most important part. If you can't tap your abilities at the time that you need them, like at the same time, that wombo combo is never going to work. Take a look here. Again, this is what you want to see. I understand what Vex did here. He wanted to force the fight and go for the wombo combo. But immediately, Sneelan's kind of forcing them away. As you said, Kalisto forced his Hydro outside of the fight, and he has to walk the long way around to get back in. And suddenly it's a game of 2 versus 2 and 3 versus 3 on the side of the fights. And that is what the Unicorns of Love team comp wants to do. They thrive in the smaller skirmishes, and they absolutely thrived in that team fight.
Yeah, and Hydro clearly the focus. They got the wild growth down at him. And it was great, kept him survive. But as you say, it had to flash, then he had to jump away from it and absolutely backfire. But we've seen this turn. Na'Vi threw away the game in this almost exact position. This time Kalisto comes in onto Vex. Realize this keeps the pressure down, gets the Hextech automated on the Hydro. That is a disaster for Na'Vi, and he gets completely caught out. Nothing he can do. Cyclone doesn't even have an effect because he gets picked off before it even triggers off there. Dante has to run away. That's game for Unicorns of Love.
I mean, they've even surrendered. They've even surrendered before the Nexus gets taken down. They knew they were done at that point. And honestly, it's that combo again. It's that combo again, Lee. Like, it is the Galio Camille combo in the late game. When you have one target that you care about killing, the Galio Camille combo is almost uncontestable in terms of what it can actually do in a team fight. And again, saw it in the Kaiser in the last game, saw it in the Corki this game. You can't escape. High mobility champions, you get locked in, you get double knocked up, and unfortunately, there's nothing you can get out of it. I mean, that was really well played from Unicorns to Level, and really beautiful from them to separate out these team fights to make it into these smaller 2 versus 2 and 3 versus 3 scenarios as well.
Absolutely. Let's check some of the highlights from that game. And, all credit, obviously, to Hydro. There's only so much you can do. When there's a Camille hunting you, they can close the gap so much. This is the very early first blood coming in. Kalisto does pay the price. The rest of his team come in to support him. But it was a very even start.
It was, and honestly, I think for the most part, Na'Vi were playing more towards these kind of stronger teamfight styles of play. This was a very interesting Dragon fight. I think that was obviously great from Coldstar to trade onto the jungler. It was a 1-for-1 overall. This meant that Unicorns of Love did have the easy secure. Low HP bars meant that you couldn't see Na'Vi commit to this fight. I really wanted them to just secure this. I mean, they definitely were toying with disaster here, but it just came to the part where Unicorns of Love were able to get too far ahead. They were able to become too individually strong. And as we said, the way that these teamfights were played, they never allowed Na'Vi to play to their strengths. They never allowed Na'Vi to find the full 5v5, find those big wombo combos that we talked about in the Champion Select. And that Galio Camille combo just became impossible to deal with as the game went on. This was the one chance. This was the one chance that they had. And Hextech Ultimatum even stopped the package from allowing Hydro to get out of the fight. And you can see how good it is versus these high mobility champions. And as we said, look, this is what Unicorns of Love thrive on. They just go for the smaller skirmishes, the smaller 1v1s, these mini fights within team fights is the way I like to kind of look at it. And that's exactly what Unicorns of Love wanted. And right here, D-Man, I don't even need to commentate this. This is just that beautiful combo that they played in both of their games.
And it's so hard to escape, a Camille. I've said it before, once you got that wombo combo, as you say, the hero's entrance, we talked about it. Was the Galio ban worthy? Well, I don't know. I mean, Sneeland did his job. I mean, I know personally, mid laners, they're not fans of playing Galio, but you know what? He did his job. They love to be that big, high explosive impact mid laner. But I mean, technically he was just not probably the way he'd like to do it. But you know what? It's a team game.
Yeah, I think Camille would be the ban for me. I think Camille's a little bit better overall in terms of like a strong individual champion pick. So if you're going to cut off one head of that snake, cut the Camille head off, because that's the one that I think has more flexibility. Galio by himself, like he's decent, but like Galio, Camille, and Camille slots into a lot of other comps as well. That's where my thought process would be.
Well, Unicorns of Love find themselves in the July finals. They were the winners of the June finals. Can they do it again? We're going to go to a break. When we come back, it is time for Group A. It is the winner bracket finals between Game Lord and Team Queso.
We are back. You'll be your casters for our third and last series of the day. I'm Yuko, and alongside me is Riku. So we now have Game Lord versus Team Queso.
Yeah, another upper bracket finals matchup is going to be very exciting because we've seen these two teams duke it out way back. Well, not way back, but just last month. And how that ended, it was Team Queso was able to come up on top 2-0. Now, the biggest question is whether or not we have to see Game Lord take that back and get their revenge.
Will they be able to get their revenge, though? I guess we will have to see once we jump into the pick and ban of game number 1.
I wonder what the priorities are going to be, because there has been a flippity-flop between, Olaf compositions, non-Olaf compositions, or maybe a strong focus on removing some of, the Galio, the semi-global ultimates on the board, like the Twisted Fate, the Pantheon, and as well as the Galio. But now Twisted Fate more, and as well as the Camille. So more over these powerful early game junglers that Team Kesto and as well as Game Lord trying to remove right off the bat.
Firstly, Vans are basically very mobile champions that can just snowball from early up until the late game. Plus a Corki, so they want to wither down the possible choices for the ADCs in this game number 1.
Yeah, that's true. That means maybe a Kaisa, maybe Zaya and Rakan. So Team Kesto now just deciding to remove something that works well with Olaf, but it still doesn't change the fact that you can still pick up a Nami to get that movement speed with the rest of your squad once the Ragnarok pops in. But Gragas is open, Galio is also open as well. What will Team Kesto prioritize? And it's gonna be a Senna.
Alright, so looks like that's gonna be the first send of the day. Gragas is open, Olaf is open as well. That is gonna be a Gragas pickup for the side of Game Lord. And let's see who will be their second pick. They could pick up an ADC if they want to, or maybe even a mid laner.
Yeah, we'll see what that pick is. Either it's a Corki pick or maybe something else. We'll have to check that out as the picks and bans progress. But of course, Renekton has been 100% picked so far, at least when it comes to today. So I am guessing that will be paired with maybe a Vi, perhaps something that can propel a Renekton. I mean, Twisted Fate has been often paired as well in the mid lane. Once level 5 comes, you just visit Renekton at top side. In the meantime, the Lucian will be picked up. That could be, the Senna Lucian combo that we were looking forward to, especially, 3.2 C came along. That's the reason why we get to see this pair finally. Wukong, though, being picked up by Game Lord.
And an Ezreal, so that's probably gonna go over to Dragon Lane. Xinjiao and Gali will be the last 2 picks for the side of Team Queso. So it's all about that full-on 5v5 team fights, whereas they have to protect Lucian here. You also have the roots coming in from Senna and a Janna going over to Team Game Lord.
Yeah, they're seeing the all-in comp. That is the call. We've seen this composition, or rather, double disengage pair before. It's usually either just the two, a Gragas plus Braum or a Gragas plus Janna. And this has been one of those things that help a poke composition, because you just poke in either a Dragon or a Rift Herald fight. And when Team Queso will go all in, you just pop up the cask, the explosive cask, or the Monsoon, and it just works perfectly in certain conditions like this.
But I'm actually, I guess, the lineup for Team Game Lord is leaning a bit more onto the late game compared to Team K, so that maybe they have this leeway. They can just poke it out or duke it out in the early game. But with all of that said and done, let's jump into the first game of our series number 3.
This is going to be an exciting rematch coming from the June monthly finals of the Origin series. I believe they've already faced each other before in another tournament where both of the teams reached the finale. And it was a BO3 series as well, but it was Game Lord that came up on top. So this is definitely a familiar matchup. Especially when we're looking into this particular group. So now for Game Lord, this mid game is gonna be insane. We're waiting for the 2-item power spike. We've seen before, Corki's deciding to go the faster route of going Triforce and then Infinity Edge, or in some cases, the default, you stack with the Mana Moon first, and then you go towards that Triforce. We'll have to see what the approach is going to be, especially you're with a similar build path with an Ezreal as well as your AD carry.
We also mentioned the possible Lucian Senna combo at the Dragon Lane. Apparently, it's an ADC Senna being accompanied by a Galio support. So Team K, so really going in with the cheese picks there. But Acolyte will just try to duke it out against random here, against that Gragas. He will be able to push him back into his third area. The body slam is going to connect. But here at the Dragon Lane, you have a lot of poke, a lot of power from that is going to be an Ezreal, alongside that Janna. Howling Gale is not going to connect, but at the very least, Team Queso still holding out very fine.
Yeah, this is a little bit tough for the Queso bot lane, just because you are up against a range versus melee matchup.
Oh, Gatling Gun is going to connect, but at the very least, Lucian is still pretty much A-okay now. You have Xinjiao dash there at the side. He's gonna focus on the D ward, but still no actual commits from both teams just yet. They want to just focus on wrapping up damage with a dash incoming from Ruiz, but no actual damage output just yet. No first blood and no problems, no kills just yet.
It's a barrier, Brock. They're able to force out the Corki's barriers. That's a really good, a dash auto attack versus a barrier burn. I think that's a pretty sweet deal. And the thing is, Ruiz is paired with Andre. So that's the thing. He is with a Xin Zhao. So I bet they are going to keep pushing the issue. They might make a second visit. But I think the biggest struggle would be Corki still has a flash and he still has that Valkyrie.
Still has that wait for disengaging, and show on that channel will have at level 5 soon enough, but looks like you have the pokes coming in from the dragon side. You also have Wukong making his way down there as well, should he want to go with the gank or just surprise that Galio dashing out, but still no casualties for both teams, still being able to play this one out quietly, conservatively, but at the mid lane, Lucian just forcing or just pushing Corki back. Here though, at top side, you have Gragas. He does have his ultimate already available as well as this Renekton, but just few pokes here and there. That is going to be the stuns connecting as well as the body slam connecting. Also have the slows, the pop there, but no actual commits just yet. No junglers anywhere near the area.
Yeah, they're going to be waiting for this level 5, which they've already pretty much reached and beyond, since some of them are already level 6. This double AD carry matchup in the mid lane, it's just going to be heavily reliant on where the jungler is going to be at, but it's only because they do have a lot of disengage options, Valkyrie, and then the dash for Ruiz on this Lucian, which makes things a little bit more challenging. So this is a fight that we are going to be expecting, possibly in the dragon, but it is going to be an air drake, so I assume Game Lord will just be satisfied waiting for their spikes. We're talking about the 2-item power spikes. As we see right now on their buy-up, is that they're opting towards the Manamune. That means they're going to be waiting to stack up, and that means they have to be patient. It's fine if they don't have to contest the first Drake or even possibly the first Rift Herald. They may aim to just get kills here and there, but not 100% full committal, and that is the reason why they do have these double disengagers like the Gragas and like this Janna.
Logic already up, but looks like Team Game Lord will want to have their hands on that. That is gonna be ultimate coming in from Senna. I guess Vision here and there, but that's still gonna be a non-contested Cloud Dragon. At the very least, they could trade it out with a turret or maybe first policy with the stuns connecting. And here comes Andre. He is gonna jump in on the turret, but at the very least, they were still able to make it out of the alive, but still really fully committing onto that fight. That's gonna be the first blood going over to the blue side. Gragas saying goodbye, but here comes the ultimate coming for Ezreal. That is gonna be a flash in, a jump in for Xin Zhao, double kill going over to Corki, and now you have that Wukong just twirling around. That's gonna be the Ruiz being able to survive that one. That is gonna be a 3-0 in favor of the Game Lord.
It may not be over. Actually, it's over. Ruiz just wanted to leave. He wanted an out. He just wanted to see if he could get another kill, an exit kill after that retreat. He still has flash as well. And I think that's a pretty sweet kill for Kezo. I mean, they wanted to get, if you have a Renekton in your team, as much as possible, you want to get early kills for him to be that, a way for you to transition well towards the mid game. He can be an absolute monster and be a huge problem for the backlane. Let's check out that replay once more. It was a unfortunate 1v2 situation where Acolyte was pretty much low, but the Dominus is available, and as well as his jungler was just quite nearby. But Trisha Barrage is a ton of damage as well, so the double kill for the Corki is gonna be a problem for Team Keso.
It is going to be huge, and that was also quite a good explosive cast from Randy. I'm trying to go and disengage, but there was still, well, the 2v1 was still in favor of Team Game Lord. Now the red side making their way towards the Herald wards being placed all around the map. They could pick Ruiz off first or check if anyone is there at the bushes, but that is going to be Senna still going to give it a go. You have Ruiz just dashing out the taunts. Will they connect? The answer is going to be no. But here comes the calling beep up. We also have the Trisha Barrage right there. You have the roots connecting. That is going to be the explosive cast being popped just to go and engage out the Howling Gale connecting. Two champions being knocked out. Blue team was able to get a repel. You have the Moonstone being popped right there. Stuns connecting onto that Zephyr, but he was able to make it out of there alive. Very, very low for our red team, but still Team Queso, you could commit. Looks like the only one committing will be Shinzao. Andre going in with the kills, was able to get one. You have the jump incoming for Alcohol. You have the Suns connecting as well. That is going to be the clone, only the clone of Wukong. Blue team has summoned the repel at the Brown Lane side. Random gonna go with the recalls, and looks like this could be the first turret for the side of Team Queso.
Yeah, it is the first, but First Blood Tower will go in favor here from Redemption. He was busy split pushing all this time, so that in fight at the Rift Herald was a 4v5 situation. It was the True Shot Barrage assist that wanted to basically help and contribute in that fight. But at the end of the day, it is still Queso was able to secure the Rift Herald and open up the map even more. Let's take a look at that replay again. Zefta pretty much stuck, but he's able to rejoin his team as soon as he can. It activates the Cyclone as well. But at the end of the day, there's just a ton of better 5v5 synergy, or rather power, at this point of the game. Again, the Ezreal, Corki have to wait for their 2-item power spikes. They still have to stack up until the Muramana and the Triforce comes. So in a 5v5 scenario, this is still, they're not basically equipped just yet.
Just yet, indeed. It is 8 minutes in, though. 2 into the scoreboard. Goal lead very, very slight, but still in favor of Team Game Lords. The next Drake, Infernal Drake, is going to be up in 13 more seconds. Again, recall, resets being put through all of the map. Triforce already up for Ezreal. That could be a huge threat. Also of Leandris, as well as Roa, already available for Galio. And now that is going to be the Infernal Drake up. Team Queso would want to get their hands on this powerful Drake, but they would like to close off all of possible entrances for the side of Team Game Lord. You have the package already available for Cork. You have the stuns coming through. Valkyrie is going to be popped. You have those coming from Senna, but that is going to be Zephyr in the front line, taking out a lot of champions. Andre still pretty healthy, still pretty much alive. Tushan Barrage being popped then and there, but no casualties, no one still dying, and then Team Game Lords is gonna go back to prioritizing this Infernal Drake. The calling beam pop that is the random slamming onto one. And it's the machine job being targeted, but you have to jump in, coming in from, of course, is Galio. The taunts are gonna click as well. Moonstone being popped at the perfect time, being able to sustain Team Game Lords. Double kill going over to Ezreal. He does pop in. And see Bitterness being taken down. You have a triple kill going over to Ezreal, and that is gonna be 4-1 in favor of Team Game Lords. Quadra kill going over to Ezreal.
We brought this up before. They were waiting for the Muramana, fully stacked, and then the Triforce. Guess what? At that particular fight, Redemption basically had everything. Had that well, not everything, but he definitely had what he needed to win that fight. And there you go. Quadra kill. But, though, it doesn't change the fact that Team Queso manages to steal that dragon off of Game Lords. But let's take a look at that replay again. This is, again, very difficult to penetrate when it comes to Team Queso, just because there's just so many pokes. There's just that package as well, being that invisible threat. You do not want to stay too long. Look at the Corki, though. Once he saw Acolyte after that special delivery, he just uses the Valkyrie to go back. Like, oop, Acolyte is there. I gotta leave. But at the end of the day, it worked out pretty well. We get to see Redemption basically having his time to shine with a quadra kill in this replay.
Yep, and that decision to actually go upward was the one that just gave him that fourth and that quadra kill. You have Andre being targeted. You have the slows coming in, but Random does jump in front of them, but that is going to be too close for comfort. You have the Janna popping with the Moonstone. Shinjab does say goodbye, and that is going to be, oh no, Redemption being able to free it at the back lines. Double kill, no, triple kill going over to this Ezreal. Godlike, in fact, for the ADC of Team Game Lords, and this could be a free Baron. 3 trade to none. Now you have Acolyte lurking at the sides. He could go with the steal if he wants to, but it's gonna be very, very risky. Are you gonna do it? Nope. Random jumping in. Body slam. Do not go anywhere near where they are. That is gonna be the red team being able to get the Baron at the expense of Acolyte's very own life.
Yeah, Game Lords is able to secure that for the whole team. And before that, Baron attempt even happened, it was them fully complete. Nobody had to suffer. Scow's clutch monsoons were just incredible. Basically baited out Team Queso to overcommit as we take a look at what happened there earlier. And again, look at Redemption. He's free hitting. He has the red buff. He has the slows. He has the burns. And there is basically no threat whatsoever to Redemption because there are two members from Game Lord that is pretty much low. So of course Team Queso was to finish them off before they move on to the next target, which is Redemption. But all this time, he had the free hit of his life, and it's just basically a huge chase. Now that they have the Baron, they can continue pushing.
Two-shot barrage, just dishing out so much damage. The calling is going to be used, but that is not going to be enough to actually defend their turret then and there. Team Game Lords just knocking onto the base of Team Queso. 12 minutes in, 3 and 11 ultimates are available for the red side. You have new minions pouring in. Will they be able to put a hole onto the base of Team Queso? Looks like that is going to be a no just yet, but as the sun's going to be coming in from Renekton, and he will be able to slice and dice his way in. The damage coming in from Ezreal, he does pop in. Legendary going over to Redemption. Wow, Acolyte being the first one to get taken down. Now you have Random at the Dragon Lane. He is just making his way right there as with the roots connecting, coming in from Senna. Good roots though, was able to stop the red side going in or jumping in from their base, but that is going to be EQ at the front line. You have a jump in coming in from Zephyr. You have Chitterpart being popped there and there. Shinja being taken down. Galio saying goodbye, and that is just going to be a 3-0 in favor of Team Game Lords. They want to focus on the Nexus. Muslim being popped just for the sustain. Mountain Drake up, but you know what? They don't care because they will be able to get game number 1.
13 minutes. That game was 13 minutes. In the first, 5 minutes of the game, it was basically Team Queso taking everything. They know that at that point, without the Triforce, without the Mana Mune or Mana maxed out, that means it was basically their comfy spot to fight. And you know what? They weren't able to take advantage of that little tiny window. But at that point, it was Game Lord was able to win with their power spikes and their win conditions.
Game Lord indeed. Also, we have been highlighting Ezreal time and time again, but you know what? Another hero in that fight was the Janna. This champion. Moonsoon, he would pop the Moonsoon at every single time possible just to give the heals, give the sustain, and to give you more of that, we have a drawing board courtesy of Riku.
Yeah, let's check that out. I think this is just one of the instances where we found the fight over here by this Rift Herald. I mean, the fight was pretty much separated. We saw Zefta actually came from over here. Wait, hold up. I think I need to change the color. Let's make it a little bit more visible here. So Zefta came from here, rejoined the rest of the fight. There's just a ton of pokes, but take note, this is the point where they still weren't ready and equipped for their power spikes just yet. So there's just so many attempts. And with that, this is just one of the chances where Team Queso could have pushed more with, their lead, considering the fact that they've managed to get a lot, well, I wouldn't call it a lot of kills, but they got the Rift Herald. They're able to take down one of the carries coming from Game Lord, and as well as transition that to an early First Blood Tower as well. Actually, no, it was all this time was Redemption actually split pushing. So the thing is, he got early plates, and that is the reason why we saw him stack up, get his 2-item power spike much sooner.
And that is I actually want to echo what you said earlier on. Team Queso, they could have pushed out. The problem was Andre was the only one that decided to commit. But yeah, a lot of what ifs in that game number 1. Game Lord really being able to push with that first W for our third series. Team Queso though, still definitely not the end for them yet. This is gonna be a best of 3, and I just cannot highlight that Ezreal enough. For the side of Team Queso though, that Senna, the roots, ultimates, this is how you should play Senna in the pro scene.
I know there is a huge potential for sure that we didn't get to see in that first game in this particular series. So I'm very excited to see how this is going to pan out, because there are 2 ways to see how this will end. Either a 2-1 from way back in this before in another tournament grand final matchup, or back in the June Origin Series monthly finals where it was Team Queso that managed to get the 2-0 up against Game Lord.
And of course, we know that you would want to see the lineup for our team, so let's take a look again. Game Lords being able to get that, or at least bag Game number 1. You have Random, Zefta, Yiku, Redemption, and Show just really showing up in that Game number 1. Now for Team Queso, you have Acolyte, I'm gonna call it Andre, Ruiz, Ibu, and Memorize. So, let's see what adjustments will Team Queso do for this Game number 2. But yeah, I'm not sure if Senna is gonna be banned in this series or in this game, but let's see. Let's hop into the pick and ban phase.
Now, what will be the priorities? I'm sure it's going to be a Renekton Prio, but it could be the same Lee Sin, Camille, because Lee Sin and Camille really sort of propels the Renekton at top side. Then you add in a Twisted Fate as well. It works so well. Maybe even a Galio mid, if that is a possibility. But because of these two single target, heavy aggression in the early game picks are not going to be available, I suppose a Renekton pick here could be a little bit, the growth will be a little bit stunted, if you will.
Oh, Akali's still gonna be banned, but that is gonna be a Fiora ban from Team Game Lord. So okay, let's see why did they make that adjustment. But Team Queso gonna ban out rather the Stinger, that's Seraphine. No encores, no roots, no high notes. Then in there, Zig is gonna be the last ban for Team Game Lord.
I think again it's Team Queso removing some of the prominent Olaf pairs, but still the Nami will be available. But this cancels out a mid lane pair. Maybe if a Game Lord wants to fall back into the Orianna Olaf combo, I think that's a possibility. But in the meantime, what will be the second pick? Galio, I can see a Gragas Galio here, but the Corki worked out so well in the previous game. Honestly, they can just keep going with this double 80 carry composition. I think it's going towards that direction, honestly.
Again, why fix what's not broken? Am I right? You are right, though. That's the Renekton pickup still pretty high in the priorities. Plus a Galio. Okay. Looks like we're gonna be possibly we could be seeing the same draft for game number 2. Okay. That is gonna be it. Ezreal still gonna be picked up. So I think it was a Fiora ban in game number 1.
Yeah. So it's gonna be a Xin Zhao jungle for Team Queso, unless they want to switch it up a little bit. I mean, the Lucian is coming a little bit further down the line, but now that have managed to get the Pantheon on the board, that's gonna be a Pantheon jungle. Maybe a Twisted Fate. An Ahri. Ahri plus Pantheon is such an oppressive early game mid and jungle duo, and once the charm hits, once the stun hits from the Pantheon, it's so easy for the charm to land as a second layer of CC and will be insta-kill, most likely. Almost 100%.
Yes, but you know what? Game Lord said, nope. No stuns, no charms. Here is a Braum with the Unbreakable and a Glacial Fissure to beat. That is going to be our picks and bans for game number 2. I'm really liking the fact that we get to see Pantheon being picked up. So let's see if they'll be able to utilize that. It's still pretty much the same picks from game number 1. But you know what? Without further ado, let's dive into the rift. Alrighty.
It's gonna be very exciting. Alrighty is right, Yuko. Because this could end in a 2-1 scenario or a 2-0. Because last month, it was Team Queso. If we look at the June Origin monthly finals standings, it was Team Queso that landed in second place. And it was Game Lord that landed in fourth place. So this is going to be interesting if they can sort of jump up this time around for the month of July.
That is going to be just Zephyr focusing on buff. Still, again, pretty standard, pretty quiet early game from these two teams. No invades though. But yeah, I guess this Brown pickup kind of suppresses the Senna and Galio early game a lot more than it should have. But looking at the Baron lane, you have Acolyte just forcing random back. You know, you caused a lot of problems earlier on.
Oh
I'm gonna
my.
try to stop you from snowballing. That was Corky just one or two auto attacks away from dying, from being the first blood. But now Ruiz is gonna be a very juicy target for Wukong, but looks like he's not gonna give it a go.
Yeah, it is still a flash available for the Corki, so Ruiz doesn't have any flash anymore. So he has to wait for that Spirit Rush before anything else to be a little bit more aggressive, or wait for Andre to possibly visit. But knowing the fact that Corki doesn't have barrier anymore, I'm sure he's going to be playing a little more safer. Or not.
Flash instant connecting on to one. Nope, not indeed. But that is the first blood being secured by Team K. So Andre, you are right. They knew Corky does not have barrier. And you know what? Even though he has a flash, as long as you land that stun, it's not going to be a problem.
Yeah, it's really, really difficult to react to it, because especially if Andre has flash as well on the Pantheon, it's an easy stun into a charm, and then it's gonna spell disaster. In the meantime, though, blue buff will not be will actually get stolen by Zefta over here.
Stolen, so no buff for you. Now you have Andre just in the other part of the map. You're okay, I'm gonna get your buff as well. This is even Steven for you guys, I guess. But now you have Brom alongside Ezreal at Dragon Lane. Andre could try and visit this though, just to make sure that they can just get 1 or 2 kills in. Ruiz is just gonna focus on clearing out the way, but still gonna try to constantly pressure this Corki. Redemption, very, very low. 1.5 HP bar left.
Yeah, he's pretty low. And I feel like, Team Kesso wanted to set up a tower dive there, but I feel like it's not enough. And that is where the Braum comes in. Remember what we talked about in game number 1? Gragas is either paired with another disengage for the double disengage, either with a Janna or a Braum. This time it's the Gragas Braum. And it makes things so hard because this is very melee focused for Team Kesso. You've got Renekton, you've got Pantheon, you've got Memorized here on this Galio. So all of these are going to get greeted by a Gragas and show over here on this Braum. So that's easy stuns, basically. Easy passives on the board. Let's check out a replay in the mid lane. This is the first gank. This is the first blood that happened. And it's just so hard to react once a flash stun comes in from a Pantheon.
That is true. And even if Valkyrie was available, just Corki will not be able to do anything there. First break, though, is going to be up in 25 seconds. Gragas just trying to duke it out against this Renekton. Now you have Andre taking the buff for himself, and no one is going to the dragon area just yet, aside from Show here. Like vision given to Andre, but apparently no one is there in that path. So there is no wave just for the mid lane. Ari could try and at least put some damage into the outer mid lane turret. You have Andre just prioritizing this Rift Scuttler. Here comes Show, Zefta, and of course Redemption. As in the Winter's Bite connecting. Some slows here and there, but no actual poke, no actual fights from the both sides. Everyone making their way into the Dragon Pit.
Yeah, still gonna be an Air Drake for sure. That is not as prioritized as the other dragons like the Infernal, but it's still Team Kesso getting first dibs of this area. Charm will hit.
Cool Charm is gonna hit, but that's Zefta popping out and flashing out with that clone. 1 charm down, but that is gonna be maybe no jungler, but looks like they are gonna force this one out. No flash though for this jungler. Random. Gonna go with the body slam. He was able to just jump in, flash into the side. You have Wuka being taken down. You have the Gatling gun. You have the Gisha Fish jumping in. You also have the Hero's Entrance being popped in there. You have the stuns connecting. Braum saying goodbye. You have Acolyte jumping in with his ultimate. Random still pretty much alive. You have bombs of damage coming in from Corki. Will they re-engage? They could, they should, but they do not have a support though. You do not have a frontliner. And CB Killings be going over to Ruiz. Charm plus the Orb Reception going to be a huge problem for the side of GLD and Team K. So pretty much happy to get that early game lead.
Yeah, this is what we've seen in game number 1, where Team Kesso is a very strong either pre-level 5 and then right off the bat, early game, heavy aggression as 5 or skirmishes. That is their strength. And again, the same as in game number 1 for Game Lord. They're going to be waiting for the 2-item power spike for Ezreal and as well as for Corki. But let's take a look at that again. That was a beautiful flash body slam by Random, by the way. He basically had a target in mind and he kind of curved that flash. It looked like it was a curved flash and hit the one of the squishy targets coming from the side of Team Queso. But at the end of the day, they were pretty much poked out. They again are not ready for a 5v5. Just they have to max out Ramana, then Triforce. And that's the go signal for Game Lord.
True. And well, you know what? Just the mind games, the chess game for these two teams. Again, this could possibly be the last game should GLD be able to win this. So of course, Team Queso, they're gonna go all in. Ruiz, that is gonna be a dash in. Maybe you could see someone there. Nope, that is gonna be a no, but he is gonna go to Charm. That is gonna be Charm connecting, but Unbreakable from Show already down. So that is an information for the side of Team Queso. Blue team be able to get a grab held. You have the Gish Fisher coming in, connecting onto one, but now that's gonna be the Acolyte. That is gonna be Acolyte jumping out, down, jumping with the ultimate. Will connect. The Charm is gonna connect them, but he is in too deep and he does get person down. Now let's be Rapids going over to Ruiz. Heroes Edge just being committed then and there. Renekton being taken down. Gaio, the next one actually get taken to get bursted down. You have the Charm still gonna connect. Redemption as alongside the other members of GLD. They are just forced to go back. That is gonna be a 3-1 in favor of Game Lords.
1K gold lead, make that 2 for the side of Team Queso. They were able to secure the Rift Herald no problem. And as a consolation prize, Game Lord said, okay, this isn't exactly what we did in game number 1, where we put Redemption split pushing and getting early turrets for him to propel and get early game items. Reach his 2-item power spike. Let's take a look at that again. It was a true shot barrage. They basically focused on Memorize, and that's the target that you do not want to focus on. It's just so hard to reach the backline. That's why, because this is a composition that will definitely hit you from front to back, and that's exactly what happened. Rift Herald unleashed though, and Game Lord's just gonna try and slow it down right now.
Get that first blood turret. Acolyte at the front line. Show popping in with the Unbreakable. Passive is gonna connect, but that is gonna be nice for Acolyte. And you have Show at the front line. But you know what? Team Queso, they are just gonna disengage. They already were able to get that turret. What more do they need? We are 8 minutes into the game. 5 and 3 on the scoreboard. 3K gold lead for the side of Team Queso here. Galio is alone at the Dragon Lane side, alongside Gragas and our mid laners, Ari as well as Corki. Still just doing the pokes here and there. I mean, they're all about that damage, all about that response, I guess. And Redemption, still waiting for him after actually going online. Still waiting for that possible pickoff.
Yeah. This is a huge fight, an incoming huge fight, because Ruiz just got his second item, the Rabadons, and he has been very, very impactful already. Now he's going to be even more painful up against Game Lord, so they should be careful. Make sure to dodge those charms. Once the charm has been used, I feel like that is the time for them to initiate the goal signal. But take note, they still don't have a Triforce completed. I think their biggest bet would be Redemption after he buys that Triforce.
Ooh, okay. I thought they were gonna do something there. Usually the barrage already down, and that really did hurt a lot. Most damage went over to Ibu though, and as we GLD just focusing on the Ocean Drake. Red Team Cert has been taken down. You have Galio at the side, but he does get greeted by this grab. Gosh, have the stuns connecting onto Corki. Now that is gonna be Gish Fisher coming in from Brom. You have the re-engage coming from the blue side, but Red Team was able to get an Ocean Dragon. That is gonna be Spinarudi. Roots are gonna connect. Ari does get the person down. You have the stuns coming in for the side of GLD. A shot down on Ari. They're still going in. You have Corki focusing on this Galio, and Ibu had no choice but to jump out. That is going to be a 3-0 in favor of GLD.
What a fight! And now that's a swing in favor of Game Lord. And it all started because that's the thing when you're up against this composition. You have to dodge that, as Memorized will happily do so and not die. I was a little bit too close though. But again, going back to my point, Game Lord, if you're Team Queso, you have to press that go button right away.
Yes.
If you dilly-dally, if you dance around the dragon's pit, you're gonna get chunked down into uncomfortable amounts of HP. And that is exactly what happened. There was a little bit of hesitation. They didn't know which to start first and how to start first. And then they get poked out eventually. Now it's looking similarly to what we've seen in game number 1, where Redemption gets a bunch of kills. Now, I bet he has Triforce, maybe getting a head start on his 3rd item as well. And now, the gold is pretty much even.
It is. And yeah, even though Team Queso had the very good early game, Charm is to connect, but you have the stand behind me. Saying that 20% now you have Zephyr coming in with a jump, with that knockups. You have the Gizzy Fisher coming in, connecting onto 2. Ruiz really hitting or taking that damage from the Trisha Barrage. It is gonna hurt a lot. Now you have Andre, the only one left at the mid lane, still gonna try and protect the turret. But here comes Galio. Will you be able to protect that? That is gonna be a yes. You have Acolyte there as well. Winter's Bite not gonna connect, and GLD decides to go and disengage. Maybe, just maybe, scout out the Baron area, get the buffs, or maybe go with the recall, which it's what they're gonna do.
Most likely, as we take a look at that fight once more, this is a fight that Team Queso was not prepared for. Because look at the side lanes. Everybody else was pretty much separated. They were isolated into this lane because I understand it though. When you only have a Gragas or Zefta here as your primary engage, of course you wouldn't see it as much of a threat because you have Ruiz here with the Spirit Rush, you have Evo here, well, with the Black Mist basically. But at the end of the day, we'll have to see as Team Queso wants to push with a Charm.
Redemption was able to, the Charm did connect, but he was able to just jump out of there. You have the knockups connecting onto that Crucial Barrage, connecting onto the Giz of Fisher. That is going to be the roads connecting, but here comes Galio with the Hero's Entrance. A lot of ultimates already being used by Team Queso. They are holding their ground at the mid lane. That is going to be Acolyte at the front line. You have S jumping in, you have the Charms, the roots, the stuns. That is going to be a lot of CC being eaten by GLD. But however, Pantheon does get taken down. That is going to be Ari saying goodbye as well. Killing Spree going over to Ezreal. That is gonna be a Gragas splashing in, but they were too close to the turret. Wukong saying goodbye. Now you have Redemption on the front line. That is gonna be a 3-2-2 so far. Double kill going over to Ezreal. Unbreakable being used by Brom just to make it out of there alive, and the only one left there at the lane is gonna be Evo. Random just getting the honey fruit. They could rotate over to Baron lane. Baron is up. Dragon is gonna be up in 23 seconds.
Redemption! He's doing it again from game 1. This guy, if he's on an Ezreal, he is unstoppable. Let's take a look at that replay again. And this is a fight that, of course, Team Queso, again, is not prepared for, but they wanted to retaliate. They wanted to make sure that they can get a consolation prize, maybe a bunch of shutdown gold, finally, after that they've seen how Game Lord hasn't very comfy in these fights so far, but there hasn't been exactly a threat to Redemption. He's slippery. Despite the nerfs to his Arcane Shift, maybe a tad longer cooldown, he is still very, very slippery.
Stuns connecting, but he flashed out just as quickly. Oh no! Ultimate that is gonna be coming in from Gragas. Had the Giz of Fisher being popped as well. Galio cannot do anything in that fight. Killing Spree going over to Gragas. Senna saying goodbye. Andre in the middle of everything. Has been a knockout connecting onto 3. Wukong saying goodbye, but you know what? GLD, they still have so much damage with Rome at the front line. Random taking up or soaking up in that damage. That is gonna be Corki jumping in, flashing in. Rampage going over to this Gragas. Corki saying goodbye. It is a 3-2 in favor of GLD because on top of those kills, they were able to get a turret from the mid lane.
Yeah, 4K gold lead. Redemption still pretty much keeping his bounty for himself. And with that, this is more space. Just as you mentioned, mid lane is now open, so that means they can choose to, however, what they want to do. Either get the dragon or maybe the Baron later on. But this is the fight from earlier. This is a Team Queso struggling. They're getting picked off one by one, which is essentially, not the path that they want.
Blue team was able to secure that Drake. Now Ruiz is just gonna survive that fight. You have the roots connecting, but oh no. That is going to be our next one being caught out by GLD. They could try and hunt some more. That is going to be the Fisher connecting again. Arcane Shift in, Roots connecting. But you know what? Even Galio was not able to withstand the damage coming from Ezreal. The power spike both from Corki and Ezreal is now a problem for Team Queso. Also, the minion wave is pouring onto the side of the team in blue, the men in blue. Because of that, GLD, they do have the leeway to maybe get this Baron. Team Queso, though, of course, they need to try and go with the steal. But what if it is going to be a bait? That is going to be Andre popping in with his ultimate. But that was too close for comfort. The blast cone! The blast cone almost got him. Oh, no!
That was too close, though. I mean, your intention was to run away, but it do be like that sometimes, you know? Sending you to danger instead into safety. But luckily, though, Game Lord didn't really push, as they are satisfied with winning the previous fight already. They wanted to be more reserved and pretty much reserve all the important ults in the upcoming potential Baron pickup, as there is going to be an Elder already spawning in just a few minutes. But let's take a look at what just happened there. Andre, pretty much low, not prepared for this fight anymore. That is the I wouldn't call it a problem of but the weakness of this composition that Team Queso drafted. It's difficult because there is no options for disengage. It's a pretty much all-in comp. So if you start a fight, there is no way for you to go out.
The alley-oop from Game Lord there is very good as well. I thought Sho was gonna get taken down, but he was able to survive. And now 17 minutes in, 9 and 15 on scoreboard. GLD, they are honestly just storming this. You know, rotating from the Dragon Pit to the mid lane, de-warding in the area as well. They could get this Baron. Corki alone at the Baron lane. That is going to be the ultimate coming in from Senna, from Ibu. Some face checks here and there, but it looks like GLD, they want blood. They are gonna hunt for blood. There's going to be Nutrition Rod being popped. Ari lurking at the sides. Root still available. Baron still pretty much up for grabs. Team Queso, what are you gonna do at this point of the game?
It's an uphill battle for sure. They can have the option of getting a pick like this. There's only 2 people in the Baron, so they have 2 semi-global ults. Actually make that 3 with a shield coming from Ibu.
Ultimate coming in from Pantheon. You have the Gauge Fisher connecting. You have the stuns coming in as you see the Hero's Entrance connecting onto 2, onto 3. You also have the taunts connecting from GLD. Galio being able to take out this Braum. You have the stuns. Wukong does say goodbye. Here comes the re-engage coming from GLD. Charms hits the orb. Is it going to be enough? Blue team being able to get that double kill, but Corki winning with that double kill as well. On top of the double kill going over to Ezreal. That is going to be a 3-5 in favor of GLD. Death timers are high. They have the minion wave. Looks like they're looking into ending the game. An ace for the men in red. That is going to be Ezreal alongside Corki. Basically, the double ADC matchup for GLD, being able to close out the series with a clean 2-0.
Yeah, no 2-1s on our last series of the night. And it's going to be a clean 2-0, just as you mentioned, Yuko. What a game from Game Lore. They made a statement. You know, in the June Origin Series monthly finals, it was Team Queso that sent down Game Lord into the lower bracket. But this time around, it is a different scenario.
Yep, you know what? I thought it was gonna be a replay, but apparently it's gonna be a rewrite. Game Lords really stepping that up, and really, I'm actually about to say this again. That Corki Ezreal pickup making a lot of things happen. Maybe the Senna ADC is not too good in the meta just yet, so maybe that's something Team Queso could look out for. But overall, they're connected, especially Ruiz in that Ari, still very strong. Could have made things happen, but overall it was just Game Lord being able to win the early game and translating that to a W.
I know, it was such an intense game 1 and game 2 as well. It was Team Queso winning the early game for a little bit, especially up until the Rift Herald, but redemption came, basically. The double AD carry composition was too much for Team Queso to handle.
That is true. And of course, while we celebrate the win for GLD, we actually have an interview for you guys. All right, hello, show. First off, congratulations for winning the series.
Thank you.
All right, so Ricky, do you have any questions?
Well, how does it, Sko, how does it feel, after the June monthly finals? I believe it was Team Queso that sent you guys over to the lower bracket. How does it feel now that there's a different scenario?
It feels very good. It was nice to beat them this time around.
Right. He looks really happy. I actually have a question. Whenever you would go into these fights, who usually does the shot calls?
So it's usually random was on Gragas and Zeta was on Wukong, so they have the champions to engage. So in these games, it would usually be one of those who would call the fight and engage.
All right. So, okay. Do you have any more questions, Riku?
I was just very curious. There's still a lot of huge improvements from June and up until now, July. What do you think are the specific changes that you've done as a team?
So in the June qualifier, I think we were a bit too overconfident since we knew we were the best at that time, but that made us just look down too much on the other team, and we didn't respect it. So to this qualifier, we know we have to always be 100% ready and respect every team and play our best every time. So we have just kept staying on top and do what we do.
I love that. Always be 100% ready. All right. So do you have any shout outs or messages to your team, supporters, even friends or family?
Yeah, shout out to my team. They are crazy good. Redemption have improved like crazy, and they all play so insanely good.
All right, so again, guys, that has been Show from Game Lord. Thank you so much for being in the interview.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so I guess that's it. That's the end of day number 2. A lot of things definitely happened, but can I just say that has just been day number 2. A lot is still gonna happen, and of course, before we close out the day, we will show you all of the highlights for the day.
Yeah, there was a lot of amazing things happening. Basically, a lot of dragon fights, dragon 5v5s. I think it's day 2 has been extremely explosive, and I feel like this trend will continue to follow as the days go by, as the stakes are higher, considering the fact that we've focused a lot on these upper bracket finals, and I feel like the stakes are going to get higher as we get into maybe the grand finals, or perhaps maybe some of the matches in the lower brackets.
No other way but up, as I like to call it. And a lot of crazy stuff for the teams, not just compositions, but also the rotations. And this is just what we live for, the way different people, different teams would just play Wild Rift out. And it's also a game of, upsets, the upsets that make me feel upset. But towards the end of the day, it's still gonna end up with us casters, even the prod, closing the day with smiles on our faces. Triple kill, Quadra, and the pentakill from the Kaisa earlier on. And just, I am just very much happy to be able to witness all of these plays, the steals as well as the kills from the teams, very well coordinated. And of course, we were also able to interview one of the members from GLD earlier.
I know. I feel like there's a theme going on. Yesterday, I think it's more of the mid laners jumping into the top lane and then propelling the Renekton. But this time, it has been the 80 carries that were shining. Redemption, 69 tonight. It's been such a fun match. For day number 2, actually, and looking forward to what's going to happen in day number 3.
Right, so that has been the highlights for the day. And now let's take a quick peek at the updated brackets. Okay, for Group A, now we have Game Lord, the front line, being able to win in their match up against Team K. So this is the upper bracket for Group A.
Yeah, it is it is, no team, no talent, previously tried back in the June qualifiers. They're in the lower bracket right now, or rather, right. And they have to see if they can win against For the Win, and they'll have that rematch. The rematch that we saw last time, the first and second place, basically, from the monthly finals last month. That's going to be very exciting for sure.
Yep, and for the upper bracket for Group B, Unicorns of Love being able to win their series earlier on, they are gonna wait for their next possible opponent. Look, the fights in upper brackets are very, very crazy, but a lot of pressure is still gonna be at the lower bracket of our Group B. Let's take a quick peek. That is gonna be Nasus Vincere being able to just win that out, being able to wait for whoever will win against Footballist, against Digital Athletics. I'm probably butchering some teams here, but I'm so sorry. I'm trying.
Yeah, maybe we'll get to see another rematch of Navi and Unicorns of Love for the upper bracket finals. I have a great feeling that will be a possibility in the following days. I mean, this is a huge improvement. Navi 11th place, I believe, last month, and now potentially third, fourth to second and first. That is huge.
Mm-hmm. That is a huge leap in the... You know what? A lot can happen in a month, and just goes to show, even though you may not have the best time at a certain month, try again in the next month. Upper bracket for Group C, that was Cut Esports against Sunlight Team. They are gonna have the rematch, apparently. It's just, there could be another game threes. Maybe Sunlight Team was able to win in their fight earlier against GK Esports. So man, I'm so happy for day number 2. Do not forget, there is still day number 3. We have been yelling for quite some time, but thank you so much for watching and tuning in with us. I'm sure Damon and Excoundrel has had an amazing day, but for that, we have been your casters. I'm Yuko alongside Ms. Riku. Do not forget to watch the Origin series tomorrow for day 3, but for now, we are gonna say goodbye.